Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to Fresh Out, the podcast. I am the board game guru and game master extraordinaire, Jahananan.
It's me, Casualty, CDG, retired child crimes and human trafficking detective turned tabletop titan and improv comedian.
Professional media and movie mastermind, the Funhouse, Drew Munhausen, and I almost said that the Force is with us, but then that was just so cheesy I couldn't even. Just thinking about
Well, now
saying
you said it.
I know, but in the context of
You already
I
said
was
it.
going to say it, but didn't say it. Right?
Well,
Does
now
that
you
make
should have
sense?
said it.
I should have. So the Force is with us today.
Not
Right.
anymore.
Talking Star Wars.
It's not with you, yeah.
Dark
boy.
side.
We are off to a good start here,
to a good
guys.
start,
All right. We actually started chatting about some of these Star Wars Celebration announcements pre-show, and Gary was starting to make me laugh. When we were offline, and so I know. I made him stop so that we could save it for the show. In particular, so. As
To
our
be
audience
clear, there
may
was
or
a
may not
comedy embargo before this started, and Jahan and I were not allowed to make any jokes. Drew wouldn't let us talk. He wouldn't let us think. There was no comedy allowed at all. We've been joke free since like 13 minutes, just because.
Yeah,
of
it's
Drew.
been ridiculous. He was like, "I'll be telling the jokes here."
Mhm.
That's my German
Yes.
accent.
Here on Fresh Out Podcast, only Drew tell joke.
No, this is all true. And I even speak like that when I'm not on the podcast. It's all 100% accurate.
Yes, this character voice he's doing is just part of the immersive experience.
For anybody who doesn't know, there's been a convention going on over the past couple of days called Star Wars Celebration. Because as if May the 4th isn't already enough, you get to have a whole convention, dedicated to it. Which actually I don't think they've had in a couple of years because of COVID. But here we are. So there is I wouldn't say a surplus of Star Wars news. Like there was some Star Wars news, but to me it's all the stuff I kind of expected already. Would you guys agree? There was nothing that like knocked my socks off necessarily. Not to say I'm not excited.
There's a couple things I didn't know were coming that I'm pretty excited for, and that weren't Star Wars related. And then some of the Star Wars stuff I didn't know was happening, and it's always nice to like kind of have an idea of how much is coming out.
Well, let's talk some of the stuff we did know first, or didn't know if you're Gary, because this is part of
Yeah,
I
I was gonna say, well, there's a new show coming out, as far as I'm concerned.
So they announced a long time ago that they were doing a Cassian Andor show for Disney Plus, and I think that they filmed it a while back. I don't know why it's taken so long, or if it was a COVID delay. I haven't done my research there, but we finally have a release date on that. It's coming out in August, and there's a trailer that
I
has dropped.
don't know who Cassian Andor is.
And well, I can say what you said before about. So you watched the trailer, right?
But I did watch the trailer. Yeah, that was
Trailer answer your question?
No, it did not. After watching the trailer, I still don't know who Cassian Andor is, but the trailer looked pretty cool. What I did see looked pretty cool. I saw rebels and guns and cool-looking Imperial rafts on giant oceans. I'm in. I don't know what it is, but I'll watch it.
I'm in a very similar Millennium Falcon here, buddy. I also watched the whole trailer and still don't know what's his name?
Or her.
Or her.
Andor.
It's pretty gender neutral. His name, okay.
For those of you who don't know, including my fellow co-hosts here on this show today, Cassian Andor is a character from the film Rogue One, a Star Wars story. This was the film that came out in, 2016, I think? This is the movie that was about the group of rebels who went to steal the Death Star plans. And,
I've always sworn that if this movie didn't have the Star Wars title, no one would give a damn about this movie. I like it personally, but it reeks of like sci-fi original movie. It's not exciting or cool or Star Wars or anything in any way, but it is just kind of a cool squad future movie. But yeah, I know what you're talking about. I know this movie. There was a big Samoan guy with like a giant laser minigun.
I disagree with everything Gary said one by one, but that's okay. We
It is
disagree
okay.
with that stuff. I thought it was very Star Wars. I enjoy the allusions to. I've never seen someone who believed in the Force the way that the one guy did, the blind guy, that couldn't use it.
Man.
I've never seen
Blind
that
guy,
before.
aka Donnie Yen.
Donnie Yen.
So this is, I hate to complain about things that movies didn't do because that's not fair to judge them on my expectations. You could just judge it on what they made.
Yeah.
But Donnie Yen is one of the greatest living martial artists of all time. And his action scenes were so lackluster that I just wish he would have been a badass Jedi. I wish that's what we could have seen when they announced Donnie Yen in Star Wars. That's what I thought we were going to get. So it's not fair for me to beat him up for that. But boy, I wish I could have had a Donnie Yen Jedi in my lifetime.
And that's fair. That's a fair thing to want to see. He wasn't, the most actiony character, but I actually think he was one of the coolest Star Wars characters that I've seen. I thought he was very interesting. But yeah.
There's a lot of things in Star Wars that are divisive. I think Rogue One is up there amongst the top because to say that this movie has its defenders is an understatement. Like, there are people that swear by this movie that it is the best Star Wars movie, like it is the best made. I mean, it has hardcore defenders, especially those that think it's the best, at least of the modern Star Wars content since the Disney takeover. I, on the other hand, was one of the people who saw it in theaters and left very underwhelmed and disappointed. I have rewatched it since, maybe within the past year, I finally revisited it, and it actually was better than I think because my expectations were managed. But to me, it's still like, I don't really have strong feelings about it one way or the other.
If it wouldn't have had the awesome Darth Vader scene in the final act, it would not have been a Star Wars movie. It could have just been any generic universe.
See, they had been talking about a Star Wars story and, like, what they're doing with that going forward. And after I saw this movie, I was like, oh, this is what they mean. It is a story that takes place in the universe. It felt like the universe to me. I thought it was really cool. And I was one of those people that thought it was dope. I thought it was a really good movie. And yeah, that Darth Vader scene is out of control. It's
so I guess
cool.
We've all seen it, which is, we probably all know who Andor is then, and we just don't know that we know.
He's essentially the male lead of the movie, but even still, having watched it semi-recent, he's also one of the most forgettable characters in it. There's way other characters that are more nuanced or just have more memorable characteristics.
Well, yeah, there was the awesome droid, there was blind Donnie Yen, and there was a giant Samoan guy with a minigun.
And I believe the droid is Andor's companion, so I think the droid is going to be in this show too, if I remember correctly.
Maybe. I love droids. I think Star Wars probably has the best droids of any pretty much any property. I really like the droids and how far they range in Star Wars.
Yeah.
From the IG models, the assassin droids and like KOTOR, they were a lot of fun. And R2, of course, is a fun. He doesn't even speak, and everybody loves that character. He's in everyone's house all across the world.
Yeah, they never define how, like, intelligent they are, like how actually sentient they are. They never define it. And so it gives them this weird humanity that makes them so very interesting. But yeah, I agree.
It does seem like a lot of their droids are completely free-thinking in the Star Wars world. Yeah, now that you mention that.
It does. They seem like they're all alive, and it's kind of weird. But yeah, no, so the trailer looked really cool. And I really liked, there's a one part in the trailer where it was just a bunch of over-the-shoulder shots and it kept switching the person walking. I thought that was a really cool shot. It was just,
So basically what this Andor show looks like is some behind-the-scenes on the rebels getting their business together and fighting the Empire? Is that sort of what we're...
So I think I feel like I'm talking out of my ass here a little bit because I just don't know all
Well,
the backstory on Cassian Andor. If
it
he
looks
was
like you're talking
a
out of your ass
scoundrel character.
because your face looks like an entire ass also.
Mm.
So
I think you're handsome, Drew.
I'm just giving the slow nod.
for a guy with an ass.
Don't know how else to reflect
yeah,
that.
if there were a bunch of guys with asses for faces on stage, you would probably place in first place. I think that's fair to
There's
say.
3 right here, and he probably would beat both of us. So
Well said.
I'm actually looking right now at the classic Wikipedia, and Cassian Andor is a human male soldier, pilot, and intelligence officer who served in the Confederacy of Independent Systems during the Clone Wars.
No,
And later-
you described Poe Dameron and Han Solo and Luke Skywalker. There is not another human male pilot rebel. Nuh-uh.
That's right. He was a spy. That's right. This is coming back to me. A spy and an assassin performing many missions for the Alliance. And so he gets roped in to the crew that all eventually die stealing the Death Star plan. So it only makes sense that we get a 12-episode series about him pre his death, which apparently, from what they've said, this will debut August 31st. It'll take place 5 years prior to Rogue One, and they've also confirmed that a second part is in the works with another 12 episodes later. So we're going to get lots of Andor, which means that they're probably pretty confident in the show, which what y'all have said I agree with. I thought this trailer actually looked pretty good.
looked cool.
Pretty visually interesting. It looks like this show, or I read that the show doesn't rely on the what's the stagecraft that they use for like Mandalorian, that special technology they use for a lot of their sets. Seems like this is a little bit more practical.
Interesting.
And it looked like it in the trailer. I felt like that was reflected. But maybe that's just me.
The trailer looked really good, man. It was giving me, I don't know, it gave me like strangely Lord of the Rings vibes when I was looking at it. The cities were big. There's lots of people in them, very populated. And this looks, it definitely looks like it's going to be some sort of conflict story about like, armed conflict, war going on. I think it's interesting they named it after him, even though it just seems like, he's just one cog in the wheel of this rebellion. Because he's not leading it. I think it's an interesting pick that they named it after him. They could have just called it like Star Wars Rebellion.
Yeah, it almost should have been called Rebels or something. Like, I know that's taken, but
yeah.
Exactly. But maybe we'll see why. Maybe they're going to pull a tricky one on us, like when they named it Book of Boba and then made it the Book of Mandalorians. Maybe they're just going to pull a quick one.
Yeah.
It's actually a good segue, because speaking of The Mandalorian, it officially has a release window. It's going to be coming in 2023 in February. So, the past we got, I think the first season of Mandalorian launched with Disney Plus in November of 2019. We got season 2. I think it came out earlier in October of 2020. And then in 2021, December, we got the Book of Boba Fett. So we'll get no Mandalorian or anything in 2022. We'll get it in 2023.
Fair enough.
Which is fine. We got Andor in August. We know that they're packed because you got Andor, and then you've got between that and the Marvel shows, it's like we've got.
And Obi-Wan is happening right now. Obi-Wan's a big event. I know it just started, but we're going to look back at this and be like, oh yeah, Obi-Wan was a huge Star Wars moment.
Mm-hmm. And I actually, there was something I wanted to read for you, Gary, in particular, regarding Mandalorian Season 3. Because they showed, I guess, a sizzle reel, some footage at Star Wars Celebration.
Pod race. Yes, Drew!
What I'm reading is from Collider, and they said some things. We're treated to a first look at Mandalore in live action.
Pod
so there's
race.
A shot of Din Djarin shown flying towards the ruins of the once thriving, glorious homeworld of the Mandalorians. But here's what I'm getting to. We also got to see 3 adorable Anzellan, which many may remember is the type of creature that was Babu Frick in The Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, shit! I don't mean to curse anybody who's got kids in the room. I apologize. But, oh, dang! I don't know if you guys know Babu Frick, But that's the only reason to watch the 9th Star Wars movie.
So we will get, apparently Babu Frick is a alien race called an Anzellan, and we're getting some Anzellan in Mandalorian Season 3. So there you go.
This is great news. The only thing they need to do is give me some pods now. Like this, The Mandalorian is fan service turned up to 10 or 11. It's the best piece of Star Wars anything ever. And not to harken back to Andor, but that trailer of Andor showed a lot of really cool settings. That's what Jahan was saying, the giant cities and big sprawls and stuff like that. Even if Andor isn't a great show, I think it's just going to be so chock full of awesome locations and scenes and settings, sort of like Dune was, where everything is just this huge cinematography moment. Andor seemed to have a lot of really cool Star Wars settings like that as well.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that because I was just thinking about this yesterday because we, in Obi-Wan, we get to see a little bit of civilization, but you also see a lot of Tatooine. And I was just thinking, I was like, this is like a giant galactic system, right? Huge mega cities, hundreds and thousands of alien races and homeworlds, and we see like 30 different pieces of media that are centered on Tatooine, the barren desert. And it's like, man,
Boba Fett was almost all on Tatooine.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they keep on using Tatooine, and like Tatooine's cool. But man,
funny you say this. I was thinking about this the other day too. What if the map in your head? I don't know a lot about the Star Wars galaxy map, right? But what if the only place to like lay over in deep space is Tatooine because it's the only habitable planet out there, and it may not be the best, but it's sort of just in the middle of the rest, and you have a long run to make to get there and a long run to make to get away from there. So once you're there, you're kind of stuck there for a while.
I
sort
mean,
of like the Wild West.
Even if they have a reason, it's just like, damn, man, like I want to
just
see
thinking,
these mega cities.
I'm with you. Coruscant's awesome. Why have I seen 9 movies on Tatooine when I could see 2 or 3 more in Coruscant? Put me on the streets. Let me see the crime.
I see Jakku.
I do really like the idea of Tatooine being the extended layover of the Star Wars universe, where you got to go and switch ships, but you might
the
be
bus
there for
terminal,
a few
right?
hours, a few days.
Well, it's the bus station for the galaxy.
So
Why else would you go to Tatooine?
I pulled up a map, all right, of the Star Wars galaxy. Tatooine is on a main shipping lane, but there's lots of other planets near it. In this shipping lane, it's definitely not a layover spot. It's a place you could totally avoid if you wanted to.
No, and I hate
would.
sand. I hate sand.
Yeah, I think I would not go there if I lived in that galaxy far, far away.
And then they showed us a new planet, Jakku, which is just Tatooine.
Right! Oh my god! I was so mad that Jakku's just Tatooine.
Oh,
Why
man.
even? Just
make it Tatooine.
Just put her on Tatooine.
And then actually, at Star Wars, at the theme parks in Disney World, Disneyland, the Star Wars area is actually its own planet. Because everything Disney has its own storylines, but that planet looks pretty similar to Tatooine and Jakku as well, but it's called Batu. So
if it didn't look like a desert, it wouldn't look like Star Wars, because that's right. But yeah, I'm happy that they seem to be doing non-desert related activities.
Oh, don't forget, there's always Hoth.
That's true.
If you want to get away from the sand, just go straight to ice.
Just go straight to a desert of frost and snow.
You kid, but it would be different enough for me.
It's just 2 horrible planets to choose from.
Yeah, it's really funny. And then anytime they go to a nice planet, it's like one scene, and they're like, "We got to get out of this place."
The worst thing is if you go to Naboo, because then it's a super nice place, but you end up meeting Gungans.
Mm. Gary's a Gungan racist.
That's why they glassed that place, man. It's the only right thing the Empire ever did.
Got rid of the Gungans. Oh boy.
It's I wish George Lucas would have taken a note from himself.
The conversation devolving into Gungan talk is a perfect segue for me to move to something else expected. I was kind of waiting for during Star Wars Celebration was, I was a really big fan of Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, the video game that came out in 2019? Is that when it came out? I think that's right.
Yeah.
And they've been working on a sequel. They haven't been hiding that fact, and so we finally got our first look at it. But it was just a CG trailer, but it's called Star Wars Jedi Survivor. It has a 2023 release window. That's all it said. I'm gonna guess that's meaning probably late 2023, probably fall time would be my assumption. And while I'm excited, I loved the first game, so I'm gonna play this one. But I was hoping to at least get some gameplay or whatnot. I watched the trailer, but it's just dark, kind of brooding, and you see some figures, and there's somebody in a tank. There wasn't too much for me to take away from this trailer, to be honest. Just we got to show you something. Here it is.
It was a cinematic trailer. I'm excited too. I mean to pick up the first one again. I didn't beat it the first time around, but it was a really good game, and the second one looks dope.
And it sounds like it kind of takes place. Ironically, we're talking about Obi-Wan, and this game kind of takes place at the same time period as the show that we just were introduced to. Because this, it's he's a Jedi and he's being hunted and that kind of stuff. So it's kind of neat.
There has been talk that Cal will be in the Star Wars Disney universe. There has been talk. I've heard talk.
We shall see.
I think it would be really cool.
Nothing's off the table from what we've seen so far in these Disney Plus shows, as far as I'm concerned. Getting live action Cad Bane and characters like that straight from the animation, anything could happen.
Well, yeah, one of the I forget who it was, but someone was interviewed during Star Wars Celebration, and she said that they have every intention of diving into the deep lore for upcoming projects, and that's exciting because the deep lore is where it's at in Star Wars. Man, I didn't even know. Right. So I've been finding out more about deep lore of Star Wars. I didn't realize that there were dark force creatures. Did you know this?
Mm-hmm. I did not know this.
Yeah, there are like demons. They're force demons. One of them's name is Aboleth, which is a sick name, and like the old gods or whatever arranged the Kessel Run essentially with all those black holes that are all in sequence as a prison for her. So that's what Kessel is. And I don't know, man. It's like when you get deep into the Star Wars lore, it gets bananas. And I'm excited to see some of that come to the mainstream.
Yeah, there's a lot of really cool dark old gods and dark magic and things that predate the Jedi Order, that they had to like rise up and defeat the dark creatures and things like that. And where is that story? That's the story we want to see. Enough about the Skywalkers. But here we are again, back into the Skywalker era, with some more of these shows happening in their timeline. It's okay, and I'm excited for these shows. But with such a rich universe, and like Jahan said, with such cool old lore, I've always wanted to see the Sith done right. Instead, we've just, Palpatine is the strongest Sith we ever see, and he's a really weird bad guy. He's not menacing, he's not scary or terrifying. We just kind of all give him a pass because we know he's powerful and Star Wars means something to us. But he's kind of a crap villain in the grand scheme of things. He's cheesy. He's a bad actor. He's not cool. Let's get some more awesome Star Wars villains and go back to some ancient Sith.
Ancient Sith swear to that for sure. I agree. But yeah, I could go forever in the future of Star Wars and never see another Skywalker. I'd be okay.
Agreed.
Well, and speaking of non-Skywalker saga, did you like that transition?
Getting good at transitions, man.
Yeah, I'm working on it. So talking about some new stuff. One of the big ones is a show was announced, Star Wars Skeleton Crew. Announced for 2023, starring Jude Law. He'll be entering the Star Wars universe, which, I mean, this guy...
Is this one like Star Wars Zombies?
It's not. I see what you did there, Skeleton Crew.
You shut up. Don't joke about that.
Jude Law jumping from Marvel. He was in Captain Marvel. Then he's been playing young Dumbledore over in Harry Potter land, and now he's jumping to Star Wars. This guy is just franchise jumping all over the place here recently. But yeah, it says Star Wars skeleton crew created by Spider-Man No Way Home's John Watts and Christopher Ford. So that's interesting. And produced by Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, which, you know, of course, they're like kind of the brains behind these Star Wars Disney Plus shows. It says it'll follow a group of 10-year-old kids from a small planet who get lost in the galaxy far, far away and must try to find their way home. The story will take place after Star Wars Return of the Jedi and will fit within the timeline The Mandalorian and Ahsoka take place in. So just thought it was interesting, that last part there, and we were talking about this a little bit off mic also, is that, you know, the stuff that Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are really creating for the Disney Plus TV world of Star Wars, so that little sector of Star Wars. You've got The Mandalorian, Ahsoka, and now this. We had Book of Boba Fett. They're really playing around right in this post Return of the Jedi area, but it makes sense because if you have all these shows taking place at the same time, you can have all these characters they've introduced in their new shows crossing over with one another, because, you know, you're going to get more excited if you see whether it's Bo-Katan or Ahsoka or Mandalorian himself show up in Skeleton Crew also, or, you know, or even Boba Fett shows up in it. I don't know. It makes sense that they're putting all of these new shows in that same time period, because you can create your own little cinematic universe, so to say, within the Disney Plus shows. I mean, obviously it's all Star Wars, so it's all connected anyway, but, you know, really have character overlap.
Is it connected by the Force, Drew?
Oh, indeed. Indeed, we're all connected by the Force.
So this show, Star Wars Bones, I have no...
Star
I don't
Bones.
know. I don't know. Star Bones. I don't know what to think about Star Bones.
I don't know if there's really anything to think. I mean, literally right now I'm looking at the promo
There's a
image, and it's
paragraph.
just a logo and a picture of Jude Law, and that's it. That's all we got.
And like regular Jude Law, he's not in costume.
All right.
Right.
Well, given that, I don't
He is handsome.
care about Jude Law one way or the other. I just don't. I'm not excited. You know what I mean? I have no feelings about Star Bones right now.
You know, I'm looking at
Love
this
Jude
picture
Law
of
as
Jude
Sherlock
Law.
Holmes, or Jude Law in Sherlock Holmes. Do not like him as Dumbledore.
You know, I'm staring at this picture of him. He's given this look, and it's like kind of a stern look, but it's also, his lips are very, you know, supple, and he's got this little shadow of stubble that's like really nice. He's got a little bit of chest hair. He's got almost a little bit of a receding hairline, but it's like in a very handsome kind of way. You know, it's yeah, I'm just getting entranced by this image of him, and then I look over at my monitor and I see Gary, and it's uncanny right now. The resemblance.
For
Yeah, I
those
was
of you at
trying
home,
to-
Gary is trying to mimic the headshot physically.
Yeah, I was trying to do what Drew was describing, and I think I nailed it.
I think you nailed it too. Yeah, definitely.
hmm I've been told that I look like a supple-lipped Jude Law before, so
Doing that wet mouth of yours.
I like that mouth. I like your wet mouth.
Telling someone their mouth looks wet is a surefire way to make everyone uncomfortable.
Let's see, I'm trying to think. Is there any other big announcements from this show that y'all?
For
Have been
Star Wars
interested in?
specifically?
Yeah.
I mean, I know they're doing more animated stuff, but I don't really follow a lot of that, surprisingly. I want to get into Star Wars Rebels. I hear it's really good, but, like, I was told to watch Clone Wars, and, like, the first few seasons of Clone Wars is a slog.
Bro, I'm right there with you. I
Yeah.
talked about Clone Wars like weeks, probably months ago, after Boba Fett. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch this, and I think I watched about 7 episodes
It's
before I just
hard, man. It is
already
not-
dropped off.
not
And,
the
and I want to
best.
watch that before Rebels too, because I hear Rebels is actually really good.
I might just say fuck it and watch Rebels, but
Yeah.
it's just
You could,
yeah.
You could always watch Rebels, and then if it's good enough, then go back and watch Clone Wars.
It's
because
true.
what if you're doing all this work for something
That's not
that's
worth it.
mediocre in the first place?
I'm just surprised I can't do it. I watched all of Naruto. Like that's not an easy watch either. It's not One Piece, but man, like I have some torture under my belt here.
It's no Bleach.
I mean, even for the really mainstream anime too, like if you go back and watch the old seasons of Dragon Ball Z and how many episodes there are where just absolutely nothing happened. There's just episode after episode of them looking for the Dragon Balls, and maybe there's some small conflict that happens. And
those are fine. It's
brutal.
the power-up levels for me.
I watched all of that happily too.
Have you
There
watched
is not
Super?
a single Disney Channel show that I was growing up when Disney Channel existed. Maybe it still does. They didn't have a single good show. None of them. Period. There's not a single one that I missed that was a good show, and Star Wars goes right in there with it.
Gargoyles.
Gargoyles was Disney, was it?
Yeah.
I thought
Gargoyles was Disney's first attempt at an animated drama. Yes.
I thought it came on Nickelodeon after Blue's Clues.
It's Disney. It's on Disney Plus right now. But
it is on
you're
Disney
right.
Plus, and I did watch
I
the
know
first episode of that.
I know me some Gargoyles. Gargoyles go hard, bro. Gargoyles is one of the greatest animated series.
I'm thinking of that era of
It's in my
like
top
Phineas and Ferb and this Star Wars show, sort of when we were like 13 growing up. There was, Lizzie McGuire, maybe even Stevens, stuff like that was on Disney Channel, and it was just a pass. You could pass everything on Disney Channel at that time.
What's the year we're talking about here?
All about that stuff. That's the sad part. Like I liked that stuff.
I did too,
man.
But like
What's wrong
I
with you,
wasn't obsessed with it, but I did like it. I watched all of it. I watched all the original movies too. Like Halloween Town, all that stuff.
Yeah,
Halloween
really
Town
like
2,
Brink was my
Calibar,
jam.
Brink. Yeah, there you go. That's what I'm talking about. Disney Channel. What year are we talking about? 2001.
I didn't like all of them though. There were a bunch of shows like The Famous Jet Jackson. I thought was pretty garbage.
I couldn't remember the name of that one. That's right,
That
Jet Jackson.
guy. You know what happened to that guy, right?
Yeah, I do.
Yes, I do.
It's pretty sad.
He got promoted.
He did get promoted. He gave himself a promotion. Yeah.
There was also a show where these kids would wear an old ratty jersey and they would become like a sports superstar. I liked that one too. I think it was actually just called The Jersey.
Okay.
Remember that space one? There were two of them. There was that girl. She went to space and lived in a space station, and she was like a rich white girl.
That was a movie. That was
Xenon of the 21st century. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Also trash.
Zoom, zoom, zoom. Make my heart go boom, boom.
I was not about that Xenon life. I will say I did not like those.
That was one of my kid crushes. That was when I was growing up.
Luckily,
Halloween Town though, all good. I know you mentioned that earlier, Jahan. That was all good with Halloween Town.
Hocus Pocus was like the better version of Halloween Town.
There was one movie that had Dave Coulier in it, and he was the dad, and his son turned into a mermaid. That was a thing.
Oh man, that movie sucked. You're right.
Oh,
it was
boy,
called, like, Splash or something.
Yeah, that movie was really bad. The Boy Mermaid.
I can't remember what it was called.
Oh boy.
Yeah, he was on swim team. He was a boy on swim team, and he turned into a mermaid.
Because he was already a mermaid.
Right. No. Right, but in this Disney Channel original movie Mermaid Land, when you go through puberty is when you start getting your scales.
Yeah. Before that,
where are we going? What's happening, you guys? Oh boy, we're like 45 minutes into this and talking about Disney Channel original movies.
It was called The 13th Year, and the reason we're talking about it is because they're bringing that character into the Star Wars universe.
I would be all about that crossover show. Let's get that one.
Finally, something we can all agree on.
Bro, I want them. I would love
podcast.
I would love Disney, Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon each to do like their Super Smash Brothers show. Like I would love for all of their universe to coalesce in a nonstop action show that's just full of references. I would watch the crap out of that.
John, you know how I was talking about Predator and Kraven the other week?
Yeah.
Check this out. Predator, and Ewoks.
Okay.
That's it. It's a Predator
that
on
would be-
Endor. He's just going hog wild.
See, no, I think it would be more like an extraterrestrial Home Alone.
Oh yes, they would be pranking him with
Like,
little
he would be
traps and
trying to
stuff.
murder them, but they'd be like, ha, like, untouchable.
Man, you're onto something.
I am onto something. We'll talk, Disney. Call me.
There's also a Lego Star Wars. I'm finally going back to it. A Lego Star Wars Disney Plus special. Don't really care about that. There's a kid show, like a High Republic era kid show that's called Star Wars Young Jedi Adventures. Look up to Disney Plus. So that's some other things. And there were some other non-Star Wars announcements, like they showed the first image from Indiana Jones 5. There was a new Willow trailer.
Yes.
That kind of stuff. I wasn't going to talk about that stuff too much because I was trying to keep this show more, on track with Star Wars, but we did just speak about Disney Channel original movies. So if there's anything you all want to comment on those before we jump over to Obi-Wan, feel free, to say your piece. I'm not stopping you.
So Willow looks great. I can't believe how good it actually looks. That movie, when it came out, was huge for little baby nerd Jahan. I was always like this. And I was always, like, my mom knew that I liked fantasy stuff. So anything fantasy got put in front of me. And Willow was one of those. Great movie. Classic fantasy. It still holds up. Some of the effects are a little rough. But it's still good.
I hate to break it to you, but in my eyes, you still are little baby nerd Jahan.
I am a little baby nerd Jahan. That's okay.
I hate to break it to you, but Willow does not still hold up because Willow never held up because it's trash.
Willow was always good, and you're trash.
I'm looking forward to the new Willow, the new Imagining. It's a sequel, right? Far down the line.
Yeah, it's a sequel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
he's not going through his magic training again, no.
No, it's not a reboot. It's just a far down the line sequel, which I like that. That's intriguing to me. If this would have been a Willow remake with new actors and things, I think I would be less excited.
I would be much less excited, too. Like,
But
the
bringing
fact
back
that Warwick is coming back...
Warwick Davis, bringing him back as Willow is big time.
How old is Warwick Davis now?
70, maybe 80 something.
No way.
No, he's only 52. Okay, he's
Yeah.
not nearly as old
Really?
as I thought he was.
Yeah, that's
How
way
long
too
ago
old.
did Willow come out?
52 years old. Willow came out in 1988, so he would have only been about... Wait, is that right? Yeah, he would have been 18 when he made Willow?
That makes sense. Okay, he was very young when he did Willow. That makes sense. He does play a young character. It's just hard to tell how old he was.
Interesting.
Yeah, Willow came out in 88, so he probably would have been even younger when filming it, so 17...
That was the year I was
years
born. Yay!
Warwick Davis actually ruined one of my favorite TV shows.
Which one?
An Idiot Abroad.
Oh, right. They added him to it.
Yep, they added him in the third season as like a second main character, and it was just it was bad.
Yeah.
They added a celebrity so that they could say it had a celebrity, I guess.
I don't know if that ruined the show. I think they just had trouble with the show, and he was trying to save it, and it didn't work. I feel like that's different.
I loved the show, and adding him
The show's really
as
funny.
a main character didn't do anything for the show at all.
What's that guy's name? That guy's an idiot. Carl, right?
Yeah,
That
that's
guy's
exactly
an
it.
idiot. But yeah, so I'm excited for Willow. Love Warwick Davis. And then the other thing that is rumored that will never happen is the Jordan Peele gargoyles. That's a thing that he's been wanting to do for a long time. That's something I would like to see. But as far as these announcements go, I think that wraps it up for me.
No, I'm still stuck on Warwick Davis because I was looking at his filmography because I always knew he was Wicket, also the Ewok in Return of the Jedi. But Return of the Jedi came out in 83, so that means he would have been like 12 years old filming Star Wars Return
Makes
of the
sense.
Jedi,
Yeah.
playing Wicket. That's crazy.
Good for him.
Well, yeah, that's awesome. Anyway, sorry, I was still stuck on that. Yeah, well, I mean, I guess that's about it for Star Wars Celebration. Do you guys want to talk about Obi-Wan?
Yeah. Yeah, I can talk about Obi-Wan.
Yeah, I watched Obi-Wan and Obi-2, so I could talk about both.
Looking
I
forward
didn't
to
mention
the next one.
at the top of the show that we were going to be speaking about it, but the episode title, when it's up we'll have that in there. So it should be pretty obvious that we were going to be talking about Obi-Wan. And I mean, I guess so. The first 2 episodes are out. You know, they actually ended up dropping them a little bit earlier than expected. They were available pretty early on Thursday evening. So I actually did not stay up and watch them that night. Gary, you did, didn't you?
I did, and it's not that I stayed up so much as those are my normal hours of existence.
Right.
And I realized at some point that it's coming out tomorrow, and I was like, oh, Disney Plus, when they say tomorrow, they usually mean at midnight on the dot. But it actually came out even earlier than midnight on the dot. It was out by like
they usually launch midnight Pacific time. So usually for us, their new shows like the Marvel shows don't launch until 2 a.m. our time. And I think it ended up coming out around 11 p.m. our time. So yeah, they dropped it about 3 hours earlier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they did. And I watched them. I had watched them both before I went to bed.
I watched one before I went to bed, watched the other one the next day.
We didn't talk about this before we started recording, but how do y'all want to do we just want to jump in full spoilers from the get-go? Do we want to give a brief, thoughts, non-spoiler thoughts, then get into it? How do y'all want to do this?
So, without spoiling, I was asked yesterday or maybe the day before what I thought about it with no spoilers. And what I think about Obi-Wan is that you, the general you will like it, but I do not. And that's my review of Obi-Wan. That's it, with no spoilers.
Yeah, so this isn't an original thought, which a lot of things I say aren't original thoughts, but that's neither here nor there. There's been some people saying, like, why are we getting an Obi-Wan show? Like, that's unnecessary. You're just filling in pieces that we didn't need, blah, 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 blah. And that being said, like, yeah, you're probably right, but I thought this was pretty good, considering.
So, yeah. So far I have my issues with the show.
John sounds conflicted.
I am conflicted. Ooh. I'm not outright like, oh, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. It's not by any means. It's Star Wars. It's cool. Ewan McGregor's back, which is awesome. A lot of the original, they brought back original actor. Cool. But I don't know. I don't know that this show's cool, and it definitely talks about one of the coolest eras in Star Wars history that I've always wanted to see more of after Order 66 and all that stuff. But so far, the show hasn't wowed me.
The villains, the Inquisitors, are pretty lackluster, especially compared to having just come off Book of Boba and having come off those great villains, coming off the Hutt twins and the bounty hunters. The Inquisitors are not threatening. They're not very terrifying. They're not very, to me, they're not imposing like, dark Jedi or Sith. So it's kind of a throwaway villain to me, first off, and they're not very engaging. And then, like you said, did you need to fill in this time? Did you need to fill in these decades? When I was watching the show, I'm thinking about the characters, and I'm like, well, I know you're not going to get hurt. I know you're not going to die. I know there are no high stakes here. Like, it is kind of weird to be watching this part of the adventure when we know that nothing goes wrong. Everything is fine. We know that everything is fine because we've already seen it. Yeah. So it does, but it's this show exists in a weird place, and I'm not totally on board yet. But once we start talking spoilers, there was definitely something in season 2 that I loved. Or episode 2, I mean, it just may not have been, it's not worth the series Obi-Wan existing yet, I guess. And I'm not a fan of Ewan McGregor.
That's right. I forget that you're not. Yeah, and I mean, I feel like the argument of, oh, this isn't necessary, we don't need this, I get it. You could say that about a lot. And we're in the era of, franchises. How can we expand our franchises? And if this is an era where they can create some more lore, tap into some things, I get it. So it's I get both sides of the argument, but it sounds like, based on what y'all said, I'm probably the highest on this. I thought the first episode in particular was really strong, and I thought the second episode was pretty good, but maybe a little less strong. But there were a lot of things I liked in both. So let's just go ahead and jump into some spoilers, if that's cool. Which I mean, just starting from the beginning, first and foremost, I thought the recap they did at the beginning of the first episode that kind of showed scenes from the prequels, I was like, man, this makes the prequels look really good. Like,
it was a really good cut. It was
like,
a good cut.
I want to watch the prequels. This makes them look really good and intriguing.
Man, I thought it felt super soap opera-y.
Yeah, but I mean,
it is, right?
Star Wars.
Yeah, it felt like it to me. And you're right, it is. It's all the space opera, so of course it's a soap opera, but I felt that. I when when you caught me up, it was like last week on General Children. Last week on Star Wars 9110.
I also thought it was a really good recap. And I almost started watching some of the prequels, and then I was like, no, they're bad. And then
yeah, don't do that.
And then we're immediately thrust in because there's the whole scene where the Inquisitors come into Tatooine looking for Jedi. You're kind of under the impression they're looking for Obi-Wan, but then you realize quickly there's another Jedi there who's actually played by Benny Safdie of the Safdie brothers. They're if you don't know who the Safdie brothers are, they directed Uncut Gems most recently. So they're pretty well known for that, and Good Time, some other movies I really like. But Benny Safdie does a lot of acting as well. But yeah, he was the Jedi that appeared in this first scene. So I thought that was neat if you know the history there. Yeah, and then by the time that they showed Obi-Wan for the first time, I actually took some notes, and I put Obi-Wan looking a bit stage makeup-y with a question mark. Like, just his beard and everything. I think to me, some of it looked just a little heavy on stage makeup.
I've just been standing out here in the desert working on being a model. It looks like I'm taking meat from this giant ray, but what I'm really doing is applying it to my face as a cream. I did like the giant space ray that was crashed on the planet that he was harvesting. That was a nice touch.
I thought that was cool. Yeah, that was a good little touch, for sure.
I don't know why there's a thing that they do that in Star Wars where there's giant crate dragon skeletons or a big dead crate dragon, whatever, and seeing that. I don't know why I think that's cool in Star Wars on these planets where there's like a giant dead creature that has been, whether it's hollowed out and made into like a building or they're harvesting it, for food, whatever. I don't know why I think that that's really cool in sci-fi things in general.
Well, I'll tell you why you think it's cool. Because it is, my friend. It doesn't matter what the giant dead creature is. Harvesting giant dead creature parts is awesome.
I used a giant dead creature as a building in the game we played last night in Modern Age.
Dang.
Or even like Guardians of the Galaxy having Nowhere be inside the giant celestial head.
That's really
stuff like that. I don't know. I just think that's
one of my favorites. That's one of my favorite examples for sure. So I like that part a lot. The Inquisitors' first impressions, I thought they presented strong at first. I thought it was cool. I liked that the head guy was like mind gamesing people, and it worked. It actually worked. And then, I guess it didn't. It was the one chick losing her shit and just lashing out.
Yeah, she kind of her like itch to get Obi-Wan, I guess, to prove herself to Vader or whatever this determination is behind her, I almost find to be a bit annoying. I'm like, okay, I get it. You want Obi-Wan, all right.
I still think that maybe she's one of the escaped Jedi as a kid from the temple, and maybe she has a bone to pick with him. I feel like they have some kind of past history that might be sort of compelling, but I think her performance is a lot less compelling than that character's story might be.
That's actually a good point. She looks kind of young. Like, she could have been, a 12-year-old or 13-year-old there that is now, like, in her young 20s working for the Sith. I could see that. That's a good point.
And maybe they all, relied on the Jedi Masters and the Jedi Council to keep them safe, so she has some harbored resentment towards that. And she knows that Obi-Wan's out there alive somewhere. So it's more to her than just making the kill. It's personal.
I actually agree with this theory. I think that might be the case. Because she definitely has something personal against him. I was fine with her initial shows of anger, her impulsiveness, but it wore thin quick And like she wouldn't listen to any orders, you know what I mean? Like that doesn't sound right for the Sith. Like they would have murdered her. Like a lot, you know, they would have killed her a lot sooner, I feel.
That's exactly right.
And like the Sith, they just I mean, are they're not really Sith. They're dark Jedi, right?
Those, and they might not even be dark Jedis. They're just Jedi hunters, right?
Jedi
so
hunters.
They have some sort of Force ability. I think that was shown, but maybe not all three of them even.
Yeah, that's fair. Maybe they just, but it seems. I feel like those types of characters really need to hit a certain level of. You have to write them to be, you know, smart and cunning and devious and like have depth and, you know, be scary. They need to be intimidating, and they didn't really feel that scary.
No, she's got Kylo Ren disorder, where you're not actually scary; you're just throwing temper tantrums.
Good comparison.
A little
I hadn't
bit,
even thought about that, but
that's
you're
a good
dead
point.
on.
Yeah. Apparently, I don't know. Whoever's writing for these Dark Jedis are, you know, they have a toddler at home or something. Like nothing scarier than temper tantrums. I mean, maybe
That's exactly right.
It's just, I don't know, it's boring. At a certain point, it's boring. I thought it was cool in the second episode, like her plan. I'm not going to get too much into it now. We'll get there.
I mean, you can though, because we're talking about the villains. Because I almost commented on this too. Like, obviously, the Inquisitors, the one, because we're talking spoilers, so might as well rip.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know, we're talking about the Inquisitors, and there's the one that's kind of billed as being the lead of the Inquisitors, and you see less of him than you do of the girl we're talking about, which I don't know their names, unfortunately. And
She's
she obviously
the third sister. I know that.
Yeah, their third sister and fifth brother is the guy with the cool hat. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't
The
know
Asian guy.
Yeah, the Asian guy. And then,
Yeah, he looks dope.
He looks awesome.
Mhm.
And then the main guy, I don't know.
yeah.
So-
He's a Grand Inquisitor. He's Grand Inquisitor.
When those characters stepped off the ship, I looked at my wife and I was like, "So that guy's gonna die first, huh?" The Grand Inquisitor, he just straight up reeks of die first vibes.
So, well, sure enough, and he does. So that makes me think like, okay, obviously you're what'd you call her, the third sister?
Yes.
Is that what she said? You know, they're kind of building her maybe to be the main villain, which of course you've got Vader lurking in the shadows of all this, right? Like Vader's the big bad here, and we get the glimpse of him at the very end, which now I do feel like I'm jumping ahead, like you said, but let's I can kind of wind it back because with these shows, you know, obviously when Mandalorian launched, we didn't know what it was about, what was happening, and the big surprise at the end of episode 1 was Grogu, you know, the baby Yoda, and even in Boba Fett, you know, Mandalorian was in that. We didn't know that was going to happen. Like, there's always the big thing, and I guess the thing in Obi-Wan, which I didn't know they were going to do, is getting all the young Leia stuff. Young Leia being kidnapped is kind of the like driving point behind the whole storyline that's happening, which I had no idea that young Leia was even going to be in the show.
Me neither. I was also very surprised, but it makes a lot of sense. I was talking about this recently, I think with Gary, and it makes a lot of sense because, you know, in A New Hope, she already knows Ben. You know, she already knows Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's her like, oh shit, I'm in trouble. This is my 911, and that's, you know, so I guess this is where that happens. And it's kind of cool to see.
Same thought. So I felt the same way. I was like, oh, I do kind of like the fact that now in A New Hope, I feel like there's more behind her. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope. Like, she has been helped by him before. He was her only hope in the past, and so she sends a message to him again. You know, I liked that too. I got something out of it.
You know what I did not do? You know what surprised me? Uncle Owen, after that whole scene in the bazaar, which I actually thought was a decent scene. I had my issues with it. You know, empty threats are stupid. I don't know. It was a whole thing. But when it came to light that Obi-Wan wanted to train Luke if he presented, like, with abilities, like, that was a revelation to me. I didn't realize that was on the table ever. I didn't realize that Owen was like, no, you can't train him in the Force, which, wow, what a dickhead. But also, when you live through the Inquisitions, I guess it kind of makes sense. You don't want your kid to, you know, be lit on fire and decapitated or whatever. So
I did think Leia's little droid rules. It almost looks like a little ladybug droid. That's what that's what stuck out to me.
you can already buy them. You can already buy them.
Huh, go figure. There'll be a Lego set of it next year, and there'll be everything.
Yeah, no, I like Leia. That kid's adorable. First off, second off, I believed that was Leia. She was very, what do you call it? Precocious? I don't know. She's very, like, not following the rules. She had a lot of, yeah. She was tenacious. She was a little, she was a little troublemaker. She's also very smart and very shrewd. The way she tears her cousin apart was pretty funny.
I put in my notes throwing bows at her cousin, which I have a note on that too. So this was my read of it. Tell me if I'm wrong. Which it's kind of, it's like rectifying the past, I guess, in a way, because obviously we know from Return of the Jedi and of course from the sequel trilogy that Leia was Force sensitive. You know. And even trained with Luke at some point, and all that kind of stuff. Which obviously in A New Hope and and Empire Strikes Back, there's nothing really to suggest that Leia is Force sensitive in any of that. But now we're seeing her as a little girl, and my take on it was like her intuition about people, her ability to read people or know what they're feeling. I'm assuming that's all due to the Force and her being Force sensitive. That was my read on it. Like that's why she knew her cousin's deep thoughts and how he was like, that's the Force. That I don't know if that's right, but that was my read.
I think that's just the fact that she's highly intelligent and wise. I didn't get any Force sensitivity from that, but it could be.
There was a line. There were two lines in the second episode that were just stupid. They were straight up bad. One of them, she's talking, she's making some sass, and he looks at her. Obi-Wan looks at young Leia, and he's like, "How old are you?" And she goes, 10. But he knows because, he's been watching the twins his entire life.
He just bought Luke a birthday present.
He doesn't need to ask Leia how old she is. That was stupid. That was for the viewers that were like, "How old is that sassy kid?" Obi-Wan answered it for you. That's dumb writing.
That stuck out to me, too. I kind of thought, obviously he knows, and I was able to laugh at the line for what it was, because he's obviously making the comment of she's wise beyond her years, but at the same time it does come across kind of stupid, so I don't disagree with you.
There was another one too. Let me try to think of it. While we're here, episode 2, I loved the cameo. Absolutely loved the Jedi introduced in the beginning of episode 2.
Yeah.
Yes.
As soon as I heard his voice, I looked up and I was like, "Is that Kumail Nanjiani on my TV right now?" And then the camera pans up across the table, and lo and behold, it's my boy, Kumail Nanjiani.
Yeah.
This was also one of my favorite things of the first 2 episodes, especially because they were pretty hush-hush on what his role was going to be in this series, but there were some brief glimpses of him in the trailers that looked like he was wearing Jedi robes, kind of led you to believe that he's going to be a Jedi. The fact that he's a hustler pretending to be a Jedi, so good. And he's the perfect guy for it.
It was hilarious. I was laughing pretty hard. His character's great. One of my favorite parts about the show so far.
I was so happy that Kumail Nanjiani was going to be a Jedi, and then I was even more happy, so much more happy, that he was just a con man Jedi. That was even better.
It was too perfect. It was perfect.
Perfect. Oh, I remember the other thing that was dumb. So Leia's piecing it all together, and she's like, "So they lured you here, or they lured me here just to capture you." And he's like, "That's right." And she's like, "Well, then how do I know you're not the kidnapper?" And then she starts running away. And I'm like, "What? You just pieced it together! That they lured you here to get him! That's how you know he's not the kidnapper! You said it! You did it! You..."
He's 10. Okay. Come on, man.
I'm good. I'm back.
That sequence is a little rough. For sure. It's funny when she's running across the tops of the roof, and then she falls, and I think that was a little much. I don't think that, she's supposed to be this smart kid, and she leaps to her death.
It's all the build-up to he's finally got to use the Force for the first time in presumably 10 years.
In setting this up, they degrade her character's intelligence by making her jump to her death because she's so stupid. Like, of course you can't make that jump.
Y'all are so mean. She's 10. How many times am I gonna have to keep saying she's 10? You can't keep calling her stupid. How stupid were you when you were 10?
I'm saying she's smart, but they made her seem dumb so that they could have this aha moment about the Force.
So what you're saying is the writers don't know how to write a 10-year-old and they're dumb.
Yes.
Yeah. That's right.
I'm saying there was some bad writing in that whole sequence there, yes.
Everyone knows I don't like Ewan McGregor. I didn't really need an Obi-Wan show.
I didn't know.
So far, like when she falls off a building, she's not going to die, right? Because that's Princess Leia. So I didn't care. I wasn't excited. He's not going to die. She's not going to die. Nobody gets hurt. Nothing's going to matter really by the end of this. We know how this turns out.
It is kind of like in a vacuum. Yeah, it's very...
Yeah. And it's not just in a vacuum like the way that Moon Knight was, right? Moon Knight exists in the Marvel world right now. It's happening right now, so it could tie in anywhere, anytime, anyhow. But this Obi-Wan isn't happening right now. It already happened between two things that are established and set in stone. We know that Obi-Wan and Vader aren't going to have some awesome giant lightsaber duel where one dies. Or where one gets their arm cut off or their hand cut off, because we know how this turns out. It's like watching Game of Thrones again.
That's just inherently the problem with prequels, sure. But so the thing that makes that not necessarily the case is that they keep on making these shows. They might make other shows in this particular time frame that might affect other shows, and so it is possible that these things touch. But I definitely get your gripe.
The only way that it really starts to matter is if they're going to introduce new characters into Obi-Wan that cross over shows, change plots, and then die. But it looks like instead it's Obi-Wan and Leia on a planet of bounty hunters, which, man, does that sound cool. But I never wanted an Ewan McGregor show where his partner was a mouthy little girl who jumped off buildings to get herself killed. So far, pretty bad buddy cop movie.
Speaking of new characters, my next note, I have Flea, ...
Bro.
Convincing child abductor.
Yeah, Flea actually, I think, did a good job. I think he was a solid villain. I believed it. I believed that he was a scuzzhead. Yeah, it was totally dope. And I didn't realize it was him until I saw it in the credits. It just said Flea. And I was like, was that Flea from the Red Hot Chili?
Oh, I knew as soon as he shot. I'm like, that's Flea.
That's hilarious.
I didn't even put it together until right now. But it makes sense because Flea kind of always looked like a convincing child abductor.
Right. Which he had the good the good death of the spinning lightsaber of doom. Which I liked.
That was so dumb.
Oh, I liked that.
His
lightsaber hilt has a cool circle around it. You know, it's got to spin around.
Yeah, those are the Inquisitor lightsabers. That's what they look like.
Yeah, like
the spinning was dumb, not the lightsaber.
No, you're dumb.
Well, the whole point of that lightsaber.
I'm sorry. I don't want to sink to those low insults.
No,
I'm sorry.
You're right. I am dumb, and it takes dumb to know dumb, and that's a dumb fucking scene.
I wanted to comment on this earlier. I didn't want to forget. Speaking about Kumail Nanjiani, if you read interviews with him, he was just in Eternals, which obviously not our favorite MCU movie, but still he's in
terrible.
And now in this, and if you ever read interviews with him, he is just a massive fanboy.
Yes.
Anyway, like the fact that he gets to play a Marvel superhero, the fact that he gets to be in Star Wars, you can just tell this guy is overjoyed to be a part of this. And I was just thinking of like when it showed him first on screen, and I thought he was a Jedi for a split second. I was like, man, good for him. You know how pumped he had to be in real life to be playing a Jedi, and then to find out he's a hustler. I'm like, oh, this is just even better. Like he has to be so pumped for this character, and it's just so perfectly him. So much fun. I know we already talked about how much we liked it, but I just wanted to add that because it just adds on to how much.
Yeah, no, I mean he's one of us that got to go to the big show, man. It's cool. It's definitely I'm happy for him too. I mean, I'd be thrilled to get to do something like that too. I would lose my mind if I got to be in Lord of the Rings, or even if it was like how Stephen Colbert was in the second Hobbit movie. No, he was in the first one.
He's in. I can't remember which one he's in.
This is the first one. No, it might have been the second. But either way, Stephen Colbert is in that movie, and I'd be thrilled too.
And then the other thing to comment on. So obviously at the end, I mentioned this briefly, and now we're back to it. But at the very end of the episode, we get that little tease of Hayden Christensen, obviously in lots of prosthetic burn death Darth Vader makeup.
Those actually aren't prosthetics. They burned him really bad for this season.
Man, that's crazy because he looked really good at Star Wars Celebration.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. They actually gave him some vitamin E oil afterwards.
No, and you just get that brief glimpse of him, eyes opening, and then he still gets the Hayden Christensen credit at the end of the episode. Good for him, Hayden Christensen coming back, maybe for some redemption. We'll have to see. I mean, I was under the impression in the show that he's just going to be in the Vader suit the whole time, and so we're not even going to see him. Are we going to actually see some Vader talking without his mask type stuff, or do you think that what we saw in this one is about it?
I mean, so you never see Vader not wear his mask in like the movies. He's always has it on. He's always talking through it.
His head from behind. That's about it.
Yeah, but
his weird head massage machine thingy.
In those movies, he's a lot older. Right now, he's a little younger. He might be able to have his mask off for periods of time. Who knows? But I don't really want to look at his face. It's gross.
You guys ever seen that video where it's Vader in that chair and it's like linked to a harmonica song? And it's like the original movie's Vader, and it's that back view and then shows the chair coming up, and then it's like fast forward rewind of Vader, and it looks like he's playing a harmonica and they're trying to talk to him and the chamber keeps closing and opening. It's pretty good. I gotta send it to you guys.
If you link me a YouTube link, I'll link it in the show notes too. Why not?
Great.
Any other things stick out to you about the first couple episodes of Obi-Wan? I know we kind of jumped around, but it's just a lot of thoughts all around. I got hey, I was happy to see my boy Jimmy Smits back as Bail Organa. That was all good.
Leo's dead?
Yeah.
Yeah, original actor for that too. Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, I think the last thing that I saw him in was back in his run on Sons of Anarchy.
Last thing I saw him in, I do believe he was on Brooklyn Nine-Nine as the father of what's her name, Detective Santiago.
I take it back. I forgot he was in The Heights that came out last year. He's in that movie, and he's pretty good in it.
But yeah, no, the show was fine, and I don't know. I'm not sold on it yet. It's not my favorite thing. It's watchable. It's Star Wars. I'll keep watching it, but yeah, it's definitely not. All the other Star Wars shows have set a bar that this is not hitting.
Yeah, I completely agree. This show's not as good as the other ones. I'm not super excited for it. And I think I'm going to stick with my original review, which the non-spoiler version is you're going to like it, and I don't like it very much.
I'm one of the people you're talking about, because I did like it. I thought these were two pretty strong first two episodes. I actually thought the first two episodes of this were stronger than the first two episodes of Book of Boba Fett, so I would rank this higher than that already. Now, granted, we're not going to get a Mandalorian turn here that eventually immediately elevates the show for me like it did with Boba Fett. But I don't know. I thought these were two pretty fun first two episodes with I'm happy to see Ewan McGregor back. I'm happy to see him doing Star Wars, not being directed by George Lucas. So seeing, maybe a little bit more acting chops on display there. I'm looking forward to see where it goes and how they build, because I know you mentioned some issues with villains, but I'm interested in seeing where they go with the villains, because I'm just not even convinced we've seen the ultimate villain threat yet. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just willing to give the show some room.
The ultimate villain threat is Vader waiting in orbit. The threat we're dealing with now is an Inquisitor, the third sister. She reminds me of the Luke Cage villain from the second part of season 1. She's just sucks the charisma from the screen. She's boring. She's flat. And now we're going to see an army of bounty hunters, I guess, which could be really cool if they even really go that route. It sounds like they are. It sounds like Bounty Hunter Planet. But that sounds real cool on paper. Let's just see what they do with it. I'd like to remind everyone that Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor were the stars of the worst Star Wars movies. All of them. And I'm not excited to see either one of them on the screen more. And then they paired Ewan McGregor with a little girl.
I have mixed feelings about all of that as well. But they escaped Bounty Hunter Planet, right? I mean, they're in orbit, right?
Huh?
So they're not even...
Away. Yeah, they got away.
So you could have done Bounty Hunter Planet. It could have been the whole series. It would have been awesome.
You just wanted them to stay there.
I'm all for let's see new, different locations. So
see, I think like next episode he's turning her in to her parents. So
okay, I was thinking we were setting out for a buddy cop drama or series for 10 episodes of this.
No, I don't think so.
Interested to see. I agree. I don't necessarily want this to be a 6-episode escort mission like from a video game, because nobody likes those. Maybe he does get her there and then something new arises or villains follow him there, but at least then he's not escorting a little girl around.
Yeah,
we'll see. I gave it a big ol' I like it. Let's see where it's going. That's my review.
I gave it I kind of like it.
I will agree that it did in fact come out of the box. I don't know if it's certified fresh out the box, but it came out of a box.
Me neither.
That's for sure.
But yeah, that's
I'll say, so maybe between all of our reviews, we'll say it's fresh out the box, but it's not certified fresh out the box yet. It's just kind of fresh.
It is fresh.
Fair?
It's new.
Is that fair?
Yeah, it's fair enough.
It is fresh. I might put it back in the box though. Maybe it's not out the box. Then maybe it's just fresh. I might put it back in.
We'll see. Well, anything else from you guys?
No, I don't think so. I think that's it for this week. So I guess thank you everyone for listening. This has been Fresh Out the Podcast. I'm Johananon at RockFact on Twitter.
It's me, Casualty CDG, and you can find me at Casualty CDG on social medias. If you like tabletop role-playing games, or you have any friends, family, or even if you meet a stranger that likes tabletop role-playing games, why don't you tell them about Fresh Out the Box? Jahan and I play non-Dungeons & Dragons tabletop games with sort of a horror and improv comedy spin on it every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday from 8 p.m. until 11 p.m. Central Standard Time on twitch.tv/Johananon. You can also search Fresh Out the Box TTRPG on Google, and that'll pop right up with our YouTube, which we have. That's cool news for us. I think that's all I have.
Drew Munhausen at Drew Munhausen on Twitter. And, there's a lot of people out there on the internet right now talking Star Wars, talking Obi-Wan. But if you were here listening to us, whether this is today or tomorrow or a week from now or whatever it is, thank you. Thank you for choosing to listen to us. We appreciate your time. If you liked it, you'll catch us next week on our podcast. We will be talking Top Gun. We'll be talking Stranger Things. We'll be talking George Carlin. We've got a lot of stuff coming up. And so catch us next time on Fresh Out the Podcast.
Stay fresh.
Fresh out the box.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to Fresh Out, the podcast. I am the board game guru and game master extraordinaire, Jahananan.
I don't know if you guys can hear me, but I feel like I can hear Jahan's voice. Can anyone else hear Jahan's voice, or is that just me?
This is you.
No, I could hear it. I could hear it. It's not just you.
Okay. Oh, God. Woo! Are we doing the podcast right now?
Yeah.
We are.
Okay.
To me,
This
I'm
makes
actually the professional media and movie mastermind, the Funhouse, Drew Munhausen.
Okay, things are starting to make sense to me now. I thought I was just hearing voices, but it turns out we're actually doing the podcast right now. We're all here. We're all here doing the podcast. Okay. I'm Casualty CDG. I'm Gary. It's nice for you guys to be here. It's nice to be here. I'm glad that we have sorted this out.
I think that's the first time I've ever done my intro before Gary. It feels weird.
It does.
I don't
That's
like
unnatural. I don't like that either.
Yeah.
Jahan always does the intros too, and I don't want to go first. You know what I mean? Like I follow Jahan, and then you close it up. That's just how it goes.
By the way, this is episode 48 of Fresh Out the Podcast.
Almost
so we're
there.
2 episodes away after this from episode 50. We're getting there. We're close.
4 episodes away from a whole year.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's what I was
True.
gonna say. That's 4 away. Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Wow. It was kind of crazy when we hit like 30, and it was kind of crazy when we hit 40. But now it's kind of crazy that we're gonna hit a whole year.
Heck,
Yeah.
I thought it was crazy when we hit 10. Podbean, who we used to host our podcast, they gave us a little badge that was like, congrats on publishing 10 episodes.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Great job, guys. Good job sticking with it. We've put out some really good stuff.
Whoa. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. But we will be.
We will be.
I have another kind of a funny story, I guess. So I bought a Lego set recently for the first time. Please hold your laughter. Please hold your laughter. I bought a new Lego set recently. I haven't bought one in years, but I wanted. I've talked on here before about how big a fan I was of Horizon Forbidden West, the newest Horizon video game on PS5. I really liked Horizon Zero Dawn, the first game, and Lego released a set of the Tall Neck, one of the creatures from Horizon Zero Dawn. It's like a 1,200 piece Lego set. It's kind of cool, and because I'm such a fan of that game, I'm like, I want that Lego, and the price was right, whatever. So I went ahead and got it. And so,
it's also, for anyone who doesn't know, it's a really cool looking Lego sculpture statue piece. It's not like a small little dinky looking
That's
thing.
pretty cool.
It's a really high quality, cool looking, almost collector's shelf piece.
yeah, it actually looks. I put it on my shelf in my little media room, and I like it there. It works really well. So over the past week, there have been a few nights where my wife and I were watching shows together, and so I would be sitting at the table, like we have a coffee table. I'd actually would sit on the ground and work on it, and while we were watching the show together. Like last night, I'm getting to the point where I'm like putting those last few pieces on. I've been working on this it took me combined probably a good 8 hours or so probably to put together, put some good time into it. My wife goes, so Legos, so you basically are just following instructions what to do. I'm like, yes. Yeah. She goes, oh, okay. I just always kind of thought that Legos, it was more creative, building, but you just do what it tells you. I was just like, I guess I didn't know how to defend myself in that moment. I felt like she belittled me doing this Lego set that I'd been spending these hours on and having a great time. And I'm like, I don't really have a good rebuttal to you because I guess
you really colored in the lines on that one, Drew.
Yeah.
So I think that's funny. I am quite the opposite. I am really impressed by your ability to put that together and stick with that meticulous kind of work. It's like building furniture, it's like building tiny furniture with hundreds and even thousands of pieces sometimes.
Furniture,
yeah. You're reading all the
Gary's
it's just exactly like putting furniture together. It's like a huge pain in the buns. Am I back yet?
More
You made
or
a major
less.
Gary lag. I'm gonna leave it in too because it was funny because you made some beep boop boop.
You made some beep boop boop,
Oh, no.
and then it caught up all at once, and like said you everything. Yeah, exactly.
What I was saying was, Drew, it's impressive to be able to sit there and put together 1,000 set Lego, because I'm the opposite kind of guy. I'd rather sit there with like a big abstract amount of Lego and a bunch of different colors and pieces and rather build things that way. I'm not good at following those types of directions for so long and for so many meticulous pieces. It's a completely different type of challenge, like a jigsaw puzzle or like a 3D. It's basically a 3D puzzle. I'm impressed that you've done that. That's awesome. It looks cool. It should be in your media room on the shelf. All that's great. And I'm sort of building my pieces still, right? Except mine are like 4 pieces I have to click together. So yours is way more impressive.
It's kind of interesting. I'd never thought about it. I've always liked doing Legos, and like that just is the process. I don't know what it is about, the meticulous following instructions and finding the correct piece and putting them together. And like sometimes you do something wrong. Like sometimes you're like, oh, I missed this, or I didn't put this piece, and you got to go back and reconfigure it. It happens. But at the end of the day, when she called me out, I didn't really know how to defend myself. I was like, well, yeah, I'm following instructions, but I like it.
Yeah.
The difference between me and you, like as human beings to our core, is if I was putting it together and I made a mistake, instead of fixing it, I would change or break something to make it fit, change, or fix what I was trying to do. I'm not good at very small, meticulous things like that. You've always been great at jigsaw puzzles and things of that nature, and that's just a different type of creative brain than mine. Yeah, that's great work. Great job. And that's a cool piece. And I know you're never going to sell it, but I bet that's the kind of Lego that will appreciate in value over the next couple of decades.
I hope so. I would imagine it's going to be kind of a limited set. I don't know how much interest there is because it's based on it's a pretty popular PlayStation game, but I don't know how much that translates to Legos.
So it also, a lot of that can depend on if they made any special bricks for it, because those rare bricks can become incredibly valuable if you follow Lego brick sellers on TikTok, which I do. But yeah, they'll talk about how like the special pieces, like, oh, this is only found on 2 models, the Marty McFly's car and the Ghostbusters ecto chamber, so it's really rare and it's worth $100 for this one. It's stuff like that.
I know that happens with the minifigs too, like in some of the Star Wars stuff when all the Force Awakens Lego sets came out. That I think the Millennium Falcon set was one of the only ones where you could get a BB-8 minifig.
Yeah,
within it. So it's
some people were buying those
just
for the minifig. Yeah,
right.
I know more and more friends these days, adult friends that are collecting Lego and building large Lego 3D pieces to decorate their homes and living rooms and media rooms, and I think that that's totally awesome. I love it. I would way rather go to somebody's house and see some awesome Lego sculpture that they built or their family built together than see a painting that they bought at a Walmart. That I don't care about that. A picture of a horse, I don't care about your picture of a horse. I'm loving seeing this whole kind of nerd sweep taking over everything. It's great.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, when I was a kid, I would build the sets and then they would become part of the collective. Like, you build the set and then I would smash it. I was a big smasher when I was a kid. I loved building things just to destroy, and I would spend all week building like a city in my room, and then at the end of the week I would smash it all and start over.
You still love smashing now, and that's why we call it pulling a Jahan.
That's true. I do love smashing now. It's just very different.
Their whole Lego's new little slogan that they use for a lot of their adult themed sets or the ones geared towards adults, it literally will say "Adults Welcome." That's been their little tagline for these adult sets. So yeah, I mean, there's a good amount of people out there getting them. But
don't forget, you can watch Lego Masters on Hulu. There are 2 seasons. I've talked about it before. There's a Lego Masters Australia, and that season is actually really good. It's way less produced, and it feels a lot more honest for creators and Lego fans. So if that's something you want to put on, especially in the background when you're building Lego, it can sort of inspire you in fun ways if you're free building.
All right, well, I've digressed long enough here. I want to get into, last week we talked about Obi-Wan and Star Wars in depth, so I want to get to some of the things that we've been watching other than that this week. And, I've been wanting to talk Top Gun for a while now, and I'm ready for it. And I finally have my platform to talk Top Gun. Because I've seen Top Gun Maverick. And I will say, I rewatched the original Top Gun before, and it's okay. The
Do
original
you
Top
have
Gun,
to see the first Top Gun for the second one to make any sense?
You're definitely going to get more out of it if you've seen the original. There's a lot of callbacks to the original, a lot of little homages, and there are some storyline continuity things that do line up. I'll say this about the first one since I revisited it, and spoilers for a movie that's almost 40 years old.
Haven't seen it.
Oh, okay. Well, sorry, Jahan, but the movie, I actually really like the beginning half, little more than half of it. I think it's pretty fun until character named Goose, his call sign is Goose, dies.
Everyone knows Goose dies.
Right, and after Goose dies, the movie comes to just a screeching, awful halt, and it drags for a long time until the final action scene. And also the romance plot in it is just absolutely garbage. It's really bad. But there's just some fun 80s cheese, of course. The new one, I don't know how else to describe this, you guys.
I know how to describe it.
Don't say what you're gonna say.
Tom
I'm
Cruise,
not gonna like.
Tom Cruise flies plane go fast.
Okay,
Also, Tom Cruise drive motorcycle go highway to the danger zone.
Volleyball?
No, there was no volleyball in this one.
There was in the
was
preview.
beach football.
Okay.
It was football. They play football in this one, shirtless and baby oil and all of it's there. So Top Gun Maverick. Let me say this: I had a absolutely great theater experience seeing this, and this just felt like, I don't know how else to say this. It felt like a movie, like just a movie.
Does that mean? What could that possibly mean?
There are so many people online right now, myself included, who can critique and dig into movies and really pull them apart and criticize the writing or criticize the characters and lines. And Top Gun, just none of that matters. There's so much cheese in this movie, but Top Gun's built on cheese. You're like, yes. In other movies, having so much cheesiness would be a negative. In Top Gun, I'm like, give me more. It's so good. I want to dislike Miles Teller so bad in general, and I liked him in this a lot, and he plays Goose's son, and he looks just like Anthony Edwards because he's got his mustache. No, his call sign is Rooster.
Oh, okay.
Gosling.
And he looks just like he could be the son of Goose. It's kind of uncanny. So there's some drama there between him and Maverick. Maverick being Tom Cruise's character's call sign. I don't know, man. It was so much fun. It did a lot of callbacks to the original while still paving its own way. It was its own thing, a new story that had great action set pieces. I was blown away. I heard a comparison, and this was really the best way to put it. One of the guys over at The Ringer said this, but it's so true. I hadn't thought of it like this. Very similar to The Force Awakens, in the sense that The Force Awakens, a lot of people's like, oh, they pretty much just remade A New Hope. And this is kind of like that, except it goes way more beyond. It's way more of its own thing, but there's some comparisons there that can be made.
My favorite thing about The Force Awakens is that it was the New Hope.
It's not you. It is a shot for shot remake of the New Hope.
That's my favorite thing about it.
And Top Gun Maverick, I mean, the entire opening credit sequence, everything is like the same music, the same kind of shots and visuals as the opening to the original Top Gun, to the point where you're like, wait, is this the new one? Until you start seeing the new, like the actors' names pop up that are new actors, or you see that the score is by, like Hans Zimmer, such and such, and Lady Gaga. Her name pops up there because she's got a song in the movie.
Does it still have that the cute little kid with the glasses, and then that scene where him and Cuba Gooding Jr. scream "Show me the money" at each other? Is that still in it?
You're thinking of the movie Jerry Maguire?
Well, yeah. Then he plays baseball, and then he's on a jet, and then he kills Goose, and then the kid from Stuart Little's in it.
You're definitely just combining a lot of Tom Cruise movies here, Gary.
Was he hanging from a helicopter trying to get Henry Cavill to stop a nuclear
Don't be
explosion?
ridiculous. That's Mission Impossible.
No, I mean, I don't know. I just had such a great time with this. Is it a perfect movie? No. Is it super fun? Absolutely. The crazy thing is that this movie, from its original release date that it had in 2019, this movie's coming out like over 1,000 days after what its original release date was supposed to be. It was delayed originally because they had to do more reshoots, and then COVID delayed it for 2 more years because they were so imperative that this movie needed to come out in theaters. And right now, actually, this episode will drop. This podcast episode will drop after the movie's been out for a week. But as of now, when we're recording, it's opening weekend, and they're saying that it's going to probably smash the Memorial Day weekend box office record, and it's going to be Tom Cruise's biggest opening weekend of any of his movies ever. So,
I mean, I believe that.
Crazy.
I'm so surprised that there is even that amount of interest in Top Gun. I'm legitimately surprised about that.
I went on Thursday night, and I saw a lot of couples in their 50s and above. I saw a lot of dads with families, and I saw a dad in total dad mode wearing a Top Gun t-shirt. So this is just the ultimate dad movie of the year.
That's weird to see dads at the movie theater when there's not a James Bond movie out.
Right. This has dad
Every time I'm
vibes
confused
all over it.
by Drew's like desperate love of these dad movies, I'm like, oh yeah, Drew's a dad.
He's a dad. Yeah,
He's
exactly.
I am.
He has the
I am.
itis. He has the dad-itis.
Well,
I
and his
really
dad.
do like dad movies. Another good
Your
dad
dad's
movie.
also a dad, and you and your dad used to go see movies together, right? So you are a dad, and you have a dad that is a dad. He's really dad-like, and then you and that dad.
Dadception.
Yeah, there's a whole dadception thing going on in the Munhausen aura.
Another good dad movie. If y'all have seen Ford versus Ferrari that came out a couple years ago with Matt Damon, Christian Bale, that's a really great dad movie. Also, really like that one. But yeah, I also wanted to comment. One of the things that's interesting about Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is just a very fascinating figure in general in movies, and he's kind of one of the last of this kind of era of movie stars. But what's interesting about Cruise is that the other movie stars that are kind of his contemporaries, some a bit younger than him, but still like guys like Brad Pitt, George Clooney, and Julia Roberts and Tom Hanks and all these people that were, really at their peaks when he was too in the 90s and such. Like all of those folks have had movies go directly to streaming. Leonardo DiCaprio just had Don't Look Up come out, and Julia Roberts has been on series on Amazon Prime, and Clooney directed and starred in a movie that went straight to Netflix recently.
Did you know Julia Roberts lives like right over there?
No, I did not.
Yep, she lives like right over there.
That's
usually I'm full of crap, but this isn't one of those times. I know it can be hard to tell. This is where she resides. She lives right over there.
In Taos?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Weird.
Well,
Isn't it? There is a small airport here. I'm guessing that she flies in and out of this airport to get her work done.
There's a good chance you could meet her.
Yeah, it's a small town. That's right. We could bump into her at the grocery store, but I have a feeling that her groceries, she probably doesn't buy them herself. I don't know.
But yeah, just going back to Tom Cruise, you see, I'm talking about all these movie stars, but basically they've all kind of adapted to the streaming age and participated in series and things that have gone straight to streaming or really are branched out, even doing like TV shows and such. And Tom Cruise hasn't. Tom Cruise has stuck to theatrical releases, and he's kind of made himself into one of the better action movie stars of the past 10 years. Just dedicated himself to that instead of doing more dramatic roles and stuff. He's sticking to Mission Impossible movies and Top Gun and Jack Reacher, and that's the type of stuff he's been doing in the past 10 years. And for Top Gun, this one, revisiting an old character, there's like a little bit of a romantic arc in it that's not very good, but I liked it. Jennifer Connelly plays his romantic interest in this one, which I liked her in it. I don't know, man. Top Gun Maverick, it's just a lot of fun. Highly recommend. I thought it was really good.
I mean, I'm not opposed to watching it, but I haven't seen the first one, so.
It's on Netflix right now. And I'm not going to sit here and be like, the first Top Gun, it's amazing. It's a classic for sure, but it has its issues for sure.
I know Jahan's already been on Netflix recently because I was trying to get him to play some Deep Rock today, and he was watching Stranger Things.
I was going to say, I know that's the big new Netflix release. This is their bread and butter. This is like Netflix's biggest franchise, and here it is. We've got a new season of Stranger Things.
And
it's also the series finale, isn't it? Or it's the characters finale, maybe?
I don't know if it's the final season. It might be. So they are
I
doing.
think they're breaking it into parts.
They're breaking it up into two parts. First part is out now. I'm not sure how many episodes it is. I watched, as of the time of this taping, it's been out for like a day. So I've seen the first 3 episodes. And boy, oh boy, it definitely shows that this is one of their big ones because, oh my god, some of the special effects are fire. So far I like it for sure. The characters are all out and about doing their thing. They're all, they've all grown up. There has been some growing apart amongst the main group. Lucas joined the basketball team, and he winds. One of the big conflicts in the first few episodes is there's this thing called Hellfire Club. There's a D&D club at their high school run by the older
X-Men?
kids. Yeah, it might be an X-Men reference. But yeah, so they do have the Hellfire. I think it's just the Dungeon Master Eddie, like, mocking the Satanic Panic. Because, like, there's, like, straight up the devil on the shirts for the high school club, or whatever. Which I think the Hellfire Club is actually cool. I didn't know how I felt about it until I realized what it was. Because I saw, like, t-shirts at box lunch and stuff like that. I was like, I wonder what that is. I thought it was going to be, like, a no girls allowed thing. And I was like, that's stupid. But it's not. It's a D&D club. It was actually pretty cool. The Dungeon Master Eddie is wild and crazy and cool. I like what I've seen so far for the first 3 seasons. You find out what happened to some characters at the end of season 3. They definitely progress the story well. Elle is living with the Byers family in California, which we knew they were moving, that kind of thing. You get to see more of that. Things aren't necessarily going the best for Elle. It's interesting. The bad guy is messed up. Some messed up stuff happens. I was watching. I was like, oh my god, like some truly horrific things happen. Like, oh my god, that was messed up. I can't believe they showed that kind of things. It gets pretty dark. The bad guy is interesting. It's very different from what they've done in the past. A lot of the past ones, it seems to have been more, these creatures are so alien. You know what I mean? They're so far beyond, like, human conception.
They're monsters.
They're
fighting monsters. And this one, the bad guy, is it more intelligent, is it not?
Yeah, so they've always been intelligent, but it's always been that Eldritch, Cthulhu, that creature level of intelligence. They're geniuses. They're so smart. But, trying to think like a human. Like, what does a human think like? We're just ants to them. This thing talks a few times, and it is humanoid in shape.
It's a Vecna reference, is it not?
Yes. So every season parallels whatever's going on usually in their D&D games. This one in the Hellfire Club, they have this epic battle with Vecna. And then this character comes out. They call him a dark wizard. They call him stuff like that. I've always liked this about the show. They use D&D to parallel these unexplainable things to put them into terms that people can understand and register with. And that's one of my favorite parts about the show. I like it so far. I have some gripes with things that I'm not sure about yet, about like the villain and that kind of thing. You know, like I haven't gotten to the reveal stage yet. I don't know if my theories are true, but if they are, I'm annoyed with some of what's going on. And then episode 3 had some revelations about like Elle and her powers, and this dude shows up, blah blah blah. I'm not going to get too much into spoilers, but they're doing like almost an unwind. There's a very convenient thing that happens that's really annoying to me in episode 3. But so far, I like it. It is exciting. Like I said, some of the special effects. Specifically, they have people that have like these like zombified faces without noses, like you can see inside. That's really hard to do, special effects wise. Like I recently saw some Doctor Who that had villains that had the same feature, and it looked terrible. It looked awful. In this, it looks really good. So there's a lot of that going on, and you know the mystery is strong. There's a lot of forces at play working in tandem and against each other. There's a lot of stuff going on. I do worry about the direction of some of the writing though. But that's Stranger Things season 4 so far for me.
I really liked season 1 and then watched like 2 or 3 episodes of season 2 and wasn't feeling it and never really revisited Stranger Things. I think, now that I'm saying that out loud, maybe I watched season 2 and I did not like the beginning of season 3. Is that where it starts off with 11 running away and like winding up in a warehouse with other people?
That's all season 2.
Okay, yeah, that's when I stopped watching. I really
that is the worst part about season 2.
Yeah, that arc I really lost interest in.
That arc, it's really annoying because they don't touch back on it. But also, yeah, so season 1's fire. Season 1's great. Season 1's perfect. Season 2, I did like season 2. Sean Astin's dope in it. Give me Samwise Gamgee all day, every day. Season 3, the villain in that, I think is so good. It's the Mind Flayer season. You know, they come out and it possesses the racist metalhead guy. You know, and his acting, his acting's superb. He's scary and he's savage. Like the way he beats people up when he's doing the bidding of the scene is so brutal, man. So
maybe I should go pop back in and check out season 3.
I think season 3 is actually better than season 2.
Okay.
We actually watched the last episode of season 3 to remember everything that happened for season 4. But yeah, so far so good on Stranger Things. It's a good show. Like start to finish, I think it is a good show. A lot of these things tend to suffer from this fluctuation in quality of writing. The show, I think, stays above water, for sure.
Gary, you make me feel better, because I thought I was the only one, because I did the exact same thing as you. I watched season 1, really liked it, was excited for season 2. I got maybe about midway through season 2. It's like I watched like maybe the first 2 episodes back to back, and then a few days for the third, and a few more days for the fourth, and then slowly petered off, and I never finished season 2.
Yeah.
And then I remember when season 3 came out, I feel like people were speaking about it pretty positively, but I had never finished season 2, and it was far enough out of mind at that point that I would have felt like I would have needed to restart it. So I never did. And there's part of me that wants to go back now and revisit, but I just
thinking about it now.
So.
Season 3 is actually really good. They have this whole subplot going on, some really good characters, some really good subterfuge, some really good.
Maybe I should. I'm thinking we should just skip that second half of season 2 and just pop right into 3. We could probably figure out what we don't know pretty quick.
Season 2 isn't the best. Season 2 is about, you know, the side effects of what happened in the first season, and things are worse than they realized, that kind of revelation. Season 3 actually has further plot. It's not just fallout from a previous season. And it doesn't seem like
season 3 had the ice cream stuff.
Yeah, it is hilarious.
that stuff.
It's
that's
hilarious,
literally all
man.
I know about it.
And it has the daughter of Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman.
Yeah,
in it.
Maya Hawke, she rules.
Yeah, Maya Hawke. She does rule. She's great in this. She's in season 4. She's awesome. A lot of good stuff. The reason why I'm so into it, I'm very nostalgic. You know, you guys hear all the things I talk about. I like nostalgia, and they really pull on that a lot. This is classic 80s kids on bikes monster movie. The good old days, man, of cinema. Bad movies. It's the good old days of bad movies brought into like a serious light, I think, is what I'm watching, and I like it.
Cool.
I want to watch Gorman again, I think.
Psycho Gorman.
Not
What a
my
good movie.
hunky boy.
What a good movie.
What a good movie. All right, but yeah, that's Stranger Things.
I wanted to revisit just because I know 2 weeks ago on the podcast, Gary talked about Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, the new kind of reboot for them that was on Disney Plus. And I had started it but hadn't finished it. And Jahan, you hadn't seen it yet, but we've both seen it now. And I just wanted to comment on it that, I thought it was really good. I thought it was really funny. I thought that a lot of the little cameos and things, and I saw another video, Jahan, what you were saying then about the parody law and how they were able to make some of that stuff happen.
Yeah.
That I just thought was very witty and smart. I think I was probably, I really liked it. One of the better comedies I've seen in a long time. I probably was a little less high on it than Gary was. I think in general, Gary, you were like 10 out of 10, greatest, really good.
Especially for a kids movie. That's really the deciding factor here is, I mean, how good is Sonic really as a film? But for a kids movie, Sonic is great.
Right.
How good is Rescue Rangers really as a film? I don't know. But as a kid movie, it's one of the best ones I've seen in years.
Yeah,
It
when
is
you
really
put it
good.
that way, it's good. I just think that if you like from a true criticism standpoint, like the first hour or so is like really great. I thought the last 30 minutes or so for me started to drag a little bit where I was like, okay, we can get to this. But otherwise, I thought it was just so much fun.
There was a few moments, where I was like, all right, whatever. But overall, this is a great movie. Definitely a great kids movie. Definitely, if you have kids, watch this with them because you'll be entertained. Some of the jokes in this really made me laugh. When Seth Rogen's character slips and falls, and then he gets surrounded by all the other characters that Seth Rogen voices, and they all stand over him and do the Seth Rogen laugh. I laughed really hard at that part.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
I loved Ugly Sonic. I loved the dwarf
The
with the
teeth.
polar. Oh, the teeth. Yeah.
Zooming into his teeth over and over was such a great
It was
touch.
really
That was
funny.
really like when that happened, that's such a Lonely Island thing. Like you can feel Lonely Island oozing from behind the camera at those weird type of pause jokes. That's definitely them.
Yeah. No, I definitely like
Voiced
this
by
movie.
Tim Robinson, who I think is very funny, and I like his Netflix show. I think you should leave. So I
Oh
thought
my
that was-
god, his
great,
Netflix
too.
show is hilarious. I like the one, the episode where they do that. What's that store that sells the really flashy shirts? You know what I'm talking about? God, they do this weird episode
You've
about.
gone on a tangent here. I'm not. With
I'm
you,
on a
John. I'm
tangent.
not with you
It's
on this one.
hilarious. Anyways, Tim Robinson's pretty funny. But yeah, Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers was good. I liked it. And I really like Sweet Pete. Sweet Pete's hilarious.
It's a little funnier because you keep up with what happened to kid actors? You know what happened to the kid who was Peter Pan?
No. Is that what happened to him?
He Disney stopped casting him, and I think he killed himself by 19.
Oh wow, that's funny.
No.
Yeah. So with Peter Pan being the villain, I was like, "Ooh, that's a little touchy." But it's it's been a while, right? I guess he's not around to complain.
Yeah, it's upsetting. Yeah, no, it's always there's so many. If you start digging into old child voice actors and child stars, so many of them are dead. It's pretty upsetting.
I liked that Peter Pan was the villain, and you can't control things like that. You know what I mean? You can't control what someone chose to do in real life. And I thought Peter Pan was a great villain, and the reasoning for it was all fantastic too.
Yeah. Hey man, once you sign that Disney contract, they own you no matter how much you kill yourself. So just be aware of that if you ever.
I see Drew frantically reading the story of the actor that voiced Peter Pan.
I'm just
He's
laughing.
horrifying.
I'm just laughing into the
concern.
darkness, Drew. I don't actually think it's funny.
It's
There's concern.
terrible.
Yeah, it's bad, right?
Yeah, he died basically at 31 years old of heart failure from drug use. There's no identification on his body. Nobody was able to identify him. His unclaimed body was buried in an unmarked grave in New York.
Jesus
and then
Christ.
later, in the next year, his mom was seeking help of officials at Disney to find him and reunite him with his father, and they didn't even know that he had died. So this is just
You're like, Peter who?
brutal. That is brutal.
Oh, you're talking about Sweet Pete. Yeah, we don't talk to that guy anymore. He's been
Man,
making bootlegs.
That's very sad.
Yeah,
Sorry.
let's finish that story with a cherry on top.
Yeah, there's so many articles about all the tragic fates of former Disney stars. Makes you wonder about Disney. But yeah, so
Isn't that great?
I was just looking it up. Yeah, Jesus.
Disney's built on a pile of bodies.
Disney is absolutely built on a mountain of corpses. That's actually true.
Most successful things are.
I mean, geez, look at how racist their cartoons used to be. But anyways, and still are. So let's move on to
Let's move on, please.
what
Rescue Rangers, guys. Rescue Rangers. Remember that? We liked it.
we did like it.
That's what we were talking about.
I'll move on to something else here. I'll
what
move
else
this along.
do you like?
I watched The Lost City. This is a movie that came out in theaters
Doesn't
back
sound
in
lost
March.
to me.
It's not that lost. This movie stars Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum and Brad Pitt and Daniel Radcliffe. It's kind of a why can I not think of what it's called? Like a Romancing the Stone-esque movie. But yeah, this is it's like, surely you've seen the trailers for this. Sandra Bullock plays like a romance novelist, and Channing Tatum plays the
cover model for her
cover model of
novels.
her books.
Oh.
And she gets kidnapped and taken to the jungle, and so he, trying to prove himself, basically goes out to try to rescue her. And yeah, and so
I actually saw this too, Drew. I saw this recently.
Okay, yeah, this came out in theaters, and then it just dropped on Paramount Plus a couple of weeks ago. And so I missed this one in theaters, so I watched it on Paramount Plus. First off, I have to say, I watch a lot of movies on streaming. The streaming quality of Paramount Plus when I watched this was terrible. Really garbage. I usually don't have issues with streaming, but this one, it was just choppy. It was not good, and I think it's probably whatever video player codecs that Paramount Plus is using. I feel like it's on that.
I had no issues with the streaming of this.
Okay, well, that's good. Maybe it was just me, or maybe the app was having a bad night.
No.
I don't know. Not that it really took away from the whole movie or anything, but it was fine. I mean, if you're wanting like an adventure jungle movie, like Romancing the Stone, that's the best comparison you can make. It really kind of feels like a modern day version of that. Daniel Radcliffe plays the villain, the kidnapper, and he, it's right in line with the types of roles he likes playing now, where he's just kind of over the top, crazy characters. Fits right in line with his post Harry Potter career. But I mean, there's nothing too memorable about this. I do think Channing Tatum's funny and charming for whatever reason. Like, I like seeing him and stuff usually. I like Sandra Bullock. Brad Pitt's pretty funny when he does pop up here.
Brad Pitt's hilarious.
But the movie as a whole is just so, it's the epitome of fine.
So I think that people should watch this movie. I thought it was hilarious. I was laughing a lot. I was laughing really hard. I was like, man, this is really funny. A lot of good moments. It's definitely cheesy. They make her wear that sequenced jumpsuit the whole time, which I think is really funny that they somehow made that work for the movie. But I don't know, there's some truly funny moments. When they're rescuing her, I was dying. That whole rescue scene where Brad Pitt's just taking people out, Channing Tatum sneaks up behind him, trying to help. When Channing Tatum's like keeps punching people that are falling down because they're unconscious, I was dying. Because, like, Brad Pitt would knock him out, and before they hit the ground, Channing Tatum would deck him and be like, I got one! And, like, it's really
funny.
It's really funny. And also, just the sheer ferocity with which Brad Pitt takes people out. It's a pretty good action sequence. There's a lot of really funny moments. I actually liked this movie. I thought it was pretty funny. I think it's definitely worth a watch, especially if you can find it on streaming.
And you can. It is on Paramount Plus right now. So that's The Lost City. Gary, we've been talking about stuff. What have you been watching? Oh, sorry. What were you going to say?
I don't know that Brad Pitt has killed a man with his bare hands, but I think that he has.
I think he could.
Don't quote me on that. I don't have any facts to back that up. But I think that he's done it.
He's rescuing her. He's rescuing her from the chair, and she's like, "Why are you so handsome?" He's like, "My father's the weatherman," and I just died laughing, dude. That one took me out. That's took me out. One. It was so funny because he had it in the chamber, like it was so good.
I haven't been watching anything good, Drew. I haven't watched any movies. I've just been watching lots of trash streaming shows and documentaries and things. There was a show that I wanted to bring to Jahan's attention in particular. It's a show on Disney Plus, and it's a show called The Quest. And it is awful.
I've seen this pop up on like the bar at the top of Disney Plus for the stuff that they advertise.
Oh man, it's bad. It's so bad that only Jahan could possibly like it.
I thought that isn't that a children's show?
Has that ever stopped you?
But yeah, it looks like because like I saw this show and I was like, that almost looks good, but it also reminds me of Disney Descendants. Like when I'm looking at it.
I have never seen worse acting or worse costumes or sets on any modern TV show in my entire life. Like, straight up characters are wearing fake plants that they got from Hobby Lobby. Like, they didn't bother sewing them in or dressing them up or painting them or putting stage makeup on. Like, it's inappropriately bad, this show. The show is called The Quest. It's 10 kids, and it's like a reality show / competition show.
Oh, it is?
Where
inappropriately bad. I'm sorry. I loved that combination. It's inappropriately bad.
It shouldn't exist. It's bad. Like, whenever somebody watched it after they made it, they should have all just been like, and thrown it in the garbage.
This is
apologized. It's a competition show.
Like, actually,
it's a reality. Okay. A reality show. So it's these kids, and they're like summoned to this fantasy universe. And so while they're here in this fantasy universe, they like come across kings and princes and stuff that give them quests. And then the kids have to complete the quest. And I guess whoever's the most heroic at the end of it all will win the show. They'll win the quest. I only watched one episode. It's awful. It's trash. It's one of the worst things I've ever seen. And I think Jahan would probably love it. It's just fantasy garbage kids reality competition show. It's the worst. It's so bad. It's bad on paper.
You guys have such an opinion about my taste, but look, it's an opinion that's shared by every member of my family that I love terrible movies. So
I was gonna say, we just got done talking, and you said that your mom would sit you down to watch Willow because she knew you loved fantasy stuff. And as your friend, I know you love fantasy stuff. It's just not good, but it's so bad that you almost have to see it because it's like
maybe I'll watch one.
It's like worse than soap opera. It's like worse than community theater. It's just so bad. Everyone is so bad. It's like they got the extras from Hollywood that play Disney princesses for birthday parties on the weekends. And like that's who they cast as the main stars in this. It is just so cringy.
You're really swinging at a whole bunch of people.
Man, yeah, who have I not pissed off yet?
Take that, poor children party act. You fucks.
Wash up has-been wannabe comedians. You suck in real life and you suck on Disney Channel.
So funny enough, I mean, you might have a point because you definitely sold me. I might check it out.
Yeah, and I just want to make sure that, like, when I'm selling this to you, that you know that it isn't good. And what you're getting into is a steaming pile of, like, fantasy garbage with bad costumes, bad acting, and bad props. And when you know all of that, maybe it will change sort of what you're viewing.
Sounds
and
like the Dungeon Siege movie starring, what's his name? The bald British guy from Crank. What's his name?
Jason Statham.
Jason Statham, yeah, from the Dungeon Siege movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Gary, in 2 weeks from now, we're going to sit down and record. Jahan's going to come in, having watched this, and sit down and shrug his shoulders and go, liked it.
It wasn't so bad. I kind of liked it. I'm watching it. I can't heard they're making a season 2.
I don't like that your impression of me sounds just like my family's impression of me.
That's what you sound like.
I guess so. Must be.
I know. I kind of liked it.
Only thing that could have made it better was some zombies, guys. I don't know. That's pretty good.
It was pretty good. I kind of liked it until the 8th episode when they had zombies, and then I loved it.
Wow.
Oh,
I'm
boy.
just the bottom of a barrel person, huh? That's just me. Jeez. I'm like what's
love
left
you.
over after they make a bunch of good people. We're like, hey, we have enough for another one. Let's just
You're like the backwash of people.
Jesus.
Gary! Golly. We don't want Jahan to end up like Bobby Driscoll here, okay?
Oh, that's the guy. That's the guy who voiced Peter Pan.
Oh no. I don't want to.
I'm sorry, this was a terrible joke. This has gotten super dark. I apologize.
It was very
right
dark.
now. This is terrible. Let's please move on.
All right, so that's The Quest on Disney Plus. Does anybody else have any good Disney Plus action going on, or should I find something else to talk about?
I don't think so.
I don't have anything from Disney Plus.
Okay, let me talk about a fan favorite then. This is one that everybody tunes in to listen to. A lot of people on the internet are buzzing about Holy Moly Season 4, and they want to hear what I have to say about Holy Moly Season 4. Because we are sort of the official Holy Moly podcast, kind of, in that we're the only podcast that ever talks about Holy Moly. And it's really just me and not the podcast so much. They're still doing Muppets, Drew. So if you like Muppets and you like Rob Riggle, let me tell you,
I like
this
Muppets.
is still the place to be. Do you like Rob Riggle?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some good Rob Riggle, Joe Tessitore
But
bits as always. You
just-
see people fall down.
Just so you know, Rob Riggle, everything I like is shit.
Yeah.
So,
Don't do
That's
this,
true.
Jahan. Don't do this. We like you.
I like me
Everything
too, so
he
it's
likes sucks, and that's why he likes us, and that's why you like Rob Riggle.
Hey, someone has to be the shitty content guy. That's me.
Pepe the Crustacean has kidnapped Stephen Curry and is going to get his own ABC show if he gives him back. He's making demands for season 5 of Holy Moly under the orders of Rob Riggle. So that's the greater overarching story with the Muppets. Other than that, it's just a comedian and a great commentator who's really funny, going back and forth. Good background show, good for your family, good while you're eating. People fall down, they get covered in fake poop, they get hit with doors, porta potties. Is everything you've ever wanted to see in putt-putt golf.
I'd rather it be real poop.
Yeah, I would too.
Those are steaks.
Question: is Holy Moly televised, or is it just on Hulu?
So
Just on-
it's an ABC show, and it comes on weekly, I believe.
I would imagine
Okay,
that,
so
yeah.
it is on prime time.
Yes, because it doesn't say Hulu original anywhere. It says ABC, and it comes out
is.
once
I just
a week.
don't even know. I honestly pay very little attention these days. I used to be like, I knew what show was on what network on what night. I used to be all about that. I
It
have
used to
no idea
matter.
now.
It doesn't anymore.
Yep.
Speaking of shows that used to be on, they made a new Kids in the Hall. I don't know if you guys ever watched the original Kids in the Hall. It's one of the old classic sketch comedy shows from like the 90s. Think like the Mad TV, SNL Wars era. Kids in the Hall was right kind of before that, Mad TV, I think. It's a sketch comedy show, bunch of Canadians. It's pretty funny. but also it's one of these hit and miss sketch comedy shows. The new season is on Amazon Prime. They take some digs at Amazon Prime, so those are always funny. There's a surprising amount of full frontal male nudity, so there's your warning for that. If you think that male penises are funny or can be funny, then they're in this show. And if you don't want a bunch of male penises in your comedy, then skip Kids in the Hall. One particular skip the Kids in the Hall if you don't like penises. What?
It's upsetting.
There's one particular scene in season 2, one skit that really got me. They have like a recurring bit where they're open with a bit and they'll come back to it throughout the episode and then end with that same bit. Episode 2 of this season is a post-apocalyptic DJ, and the only song he has is Brand New Key. And I'm sure you guys know that one. It's like a high-pitched girl's voice. It's, I got a brand new pair of roller skates. You got a brand new key. So that's all he has. The apocalypse has hit. Everyone is dead, and he's like a radio shock jock DJ. So every morning he gets up and plays that song and does his like radio DJ bit to nobody because everyone's dead. And then he just stares off blankly like into the void, like he knows that life is meaningless. And that's the recurring skit that keeps coming up. And I was dying laughing every single time with, you know, the really happy song being played and then Dave Foley just looking completely destroyed down to his soul.
I mean, that's pretty timeless if you're a DJ. It's all pointless.
Yes, and even I told Corbinian, I sent our buddy Corbinian a message. He used to be a DJ, and I was like, "Man, you might like this. This reminded me of you. It calls to me in some sort of way." So that's the new Kids in the Hall, and that's on Amazon Prime. If you adult comedy, big time, and it kind of has a Monty Python type of feel to it, where there are 4 comedians and they play every role. They play the men, they play the women, they play every part. So there's some good classic sketch comedy stuff here, and there's some good bits, like any good sketch comedy show, buried in there. But it's not by any means a Key and Peele, where Key and Peele is a hit almost every episode. Kids in the Hall is not that way.
That's typically how sketch comedy goes.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I'm curious to see how SNL evolves moving forward. I saw that they had a lot of big names leaving all at once.
Kate McKinnon and what's his
Pete
name?
Davidson.
Pete Davidson, yeah.
And A.D. Bryant and Kyle Mooney.
A.D. Bryant, Kate McKinnon, Pete Davidson. Who was the other one? Sorry, you said. I think you just said it.
Kyle Mooney.
Kyle Mooney. That was it.
Really?
Mm-hmm. But I don't think Kyle Mooney is funny, and I don't think A.D. Bryant is funny. They can do without Pete Davidson, who I love. I like Pete Davidson a lot. He doesn't make a whole lot of the skits funny. He's just good at being Pete Davidson. So really, the only person that I think they're losing is Kate McKinnon.
Kate McKinnon's a hit.
She's great. Kate McKinnon is amazing. But
she's
they're losing 4 people, and one is a heavy hitter. I think the rest of them, they might just be unloading some dead weight off the cast. I love sketch comedy, so I'm really interested to see where this goes. They've got
Pete
some
Davidson,
featured
I would argue
members.
is not dead weight because he's a crowd pleaser. People like him. He's definitely
on SNL. He's only got like that one recurring character, that Chad, who's like, "Hey, what? Huh?" And then
he doesn't have a lot of recurring characters, but like somehow he still
scenes,
manages to be in a lot of stuff. I don't know.
He just kind of bombs other scenes whenever he's playing actual characters, though. He's not actually a good character comedian. He's just good at being Pete Davidson.
He is just good at being Pete Davidson.
There has been a lot of discourse around SNL right now with all these people leaving, because this is probably the biggest kind of mass exodus. Yeah, good way to put it. Of people from SNL since about 10 years ago, around the time that Kristen Wiig and Jason Sudeikis and Bill Hader and all of them kind of left, like in back-to-back seasons, and they lost a lot of their top tier talent. And it's interesting also because SNL, used to have a cast as small as like 7 or 8 people, and now the cast has ballooned over the past couple of years to being over 20. And I think a lot of that was because of COVID and they needed extra people so that if somebody tested positive, people could still fill in. And also they've diversified their cast a lot more, which is good and much needed on that show. But it just seems like there's been a lot of discourse around the ability to build stars. Like maybe they haven't been able to build as many stars as they once did. Obviously, Keenan's still there. He's the biggest name, probably still on the show.
Yeah.
And he'll be there for a long time. And they're allowed to do a lot more along with SNL than they ever were back in the day. Yeah, I don't know. There's just a lot of interesting things with it. I'll be interested to see. Lorne Michaels is going on. There, a lot of the thoughts are that after 50 seasons, he'll leave. Which I think this is about to be 48. So I don't know. We'll see what happens once he retires and where it goes. But SNL is like a pretty interesting thing to watch right now. Not just for the show itself, but for the business around it for the next couple of years.
Yeah, I still watch SNL. I usually keep up. I've missed a few here and there. I've missed some recent ones, but it still definitely has good skits. Weekend Update will always be funny, and sometimes they get the hosts that kill it, and those are always fun to watch.
Yeah, there's like the 3 writers now at SNL who are kind of Lonely Island knockoff guys, and I'm really not feeling their vibe either because they reek of Lonely Island knockoff.
They are very
They
knockoff.
do not reek. They don't smell like originality at all. They need to go.
Sandberg was another one that left in that Exodus about 10 years ago too. That was another good name that left.
Yeah, Sandberg is hilarious. Who's next? You got more stuff, Gary?
I always have more stuff to talk about, but why don't I pass the mic? Why don't you talk about something fresh?
All right. Yeah, so I talked last week, or 2 podcasts ago, about From. I was watching the show From Epix. It is a, lost...
From Epix. From
show
the
From.
something. From the channel Epix. From... blah 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 blah. Sorry, I just like making from jokes.
From's a good is ripe for parody. So yeah, the show From on Epix is a sort of like a Lost style show. They're in a mysterious town. They can't leave. These creatures hunt them at night, but they found a way to stay safe in the houses with these rune stones. So they're working with that. There's a bunch of mystery going on. They're trying to build a radio signal to get stuff out. I finished the season. And it does end on a good cliffhanger that makes me really excited for the next season, actually. They actually did end it in a way that I was like, oh man, I really wonder how this is going to affect things. They introduced an avenue for a lot of new people to join the crew. I think next season's going to be very exciting.
Would you say the ending was epic?
I would. It was a pretty epic ending, which is a great for a show from Epix.
Do you think whenever they use their runestones to get their radio working, it's going to come across and say 4, 8, 15, 16, 23, 40, 42?
Did you pull those up, or do you know the numbers, Gary?
You think that's what's going to happen, John?
Is that Lost? Is that a Lost joke?
It is. That's
Okay.
definitely a Lost joke, and I'm curious if Gary actually knows the numbers by heart, or if he had to look them up.
And the mystery
I can
will
tell.
remain.
I could tell by the way he was looking and doing stuff that he was looking it up. But I never actually saw Lost, so
Those numbers are burned into my brain for the rest of my life.
Lost was one of those shows everyone was talking about, and then they were like, "Oh yeah," and then the smoke monster. I'm like, "That's stupid. There's no way that's gonna end well," and it didn't. So
Lost rules. It's awesome.
Lost is
definitely
dumb.
too. I liked all of it.
Lost is dumb, and you're dumb. All right.
You didn't even watch it.
Yeah, it was dumb. Why would I watch
I
something
know.
that's dumb?
Watch
I'm
it.
not gonna watch From now just to spite you.
Oh, man, and From is dumb, and you can tell it is because they rhyme.
Yeah, it's true. They do somehow rhyme. It's weird. But yeah, I also watched a few episodes of the show from Prime Video, Outer Range, which is a show starring Josh Brolin and Imogene Poots. It's a sci-fi cowboy show where this mysterious hole opens up on his property. No one knows where it leads, kind of thing. It's a lot of the story centered around.
Does he have sex with it?
I wish. I would watch that show. But no, so it's very... I don't know how I feel about the show. It's slow. It's a slow burn. It's a very slow burn. And I don't know if it gets anywhere interesting. I only watched the first 3 or 4. But honestly, like, if the hole wasn't there, this would just be a bad Yellowstone ripoff. But it's okay. I don't know. It might be good. It might get better. I'm not sure I'm sold on it. But yeah, that's Outer Ranges. I don't know if you guys have seen this or heard of this.
I have not, but just based on the name, I would guess it was a Yellowstone ripoff, so that's funny.
Yeah, it is a bit of a Yellowstone ripoff. It's definitely got that vibe.
Did you say it's alien-y? Is there an alien vibe going on here?
There is an alien vibe. It might have aliens in it. That is
Outer
unclear to
Ranges.
me yet.
It kind of sounds like Outer Limits, and it kind of sounds like The Range, so it's almost like a ghost or an aliens versus cowboys situation going on
It
here.
seems like it. The whole, like, you do find out stuff about the hole in the first few episodes. Somebody goes in there. Wow, it's crazy.
Oh, no.
But yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff. He throws, I don't know, I don't want to do any spoilers, but he throws some things in the hole, and it's very interesting what happens with them. Those parts are very interesting. Honestly, I wish it was just less of the cowboy Yellowstone crap. More holes.
So for fans of throwing stuff in holes and cowboys,
The hole's
Outer
interesting.
Range.
The hole's interesting. You don't get enough of it. So that's that. I also watched...
Man, that would have been a good segue for Holy Moly.
How could you have
That the hole is interesting and you don't get enough of it.
The mysterious hole. But yeah, I also watched quite a bit of Ash vs. Evil Dead, the TV show from Starz.
I watched the show, but I just watched the Evil Dead trilogy again recently, and I almost was like, should I try Ash vs. Evil Dead? But I've also heard that like it's kind of meh.
It is kind of meh, but also so it is it's like they got all the movies and just squeezed the camp into a cup, and like it's just this concentrated. It's so campy, it's so cheesy, it's so over the top. The violence is arguably more over the top than Evil Dead. Like it's crazy. The blood fountains are there if you like that kind of thing. There is a scene in season 2 where he literally has his head up the butt of a cadaver that has an open chest, and you can see his head, and the dick's like flopping. Like, it's very messed up. Like, it's just a bunch of cheap gore thrills. It's exactly what you expect from Evil Dead. And Bruce Campbell's in good form, though.
An episode does Bruce Campbell say groovy?
I don't know that he said it. He might have said it once. But he is in top peak Bruce Campbell form. He is killing it. He's doing the Ash thing. He's lovable and hateable at the same time. The side characters are definitely entertaining. You got Pablo, who's just this really crazy looking guy. He's really ridiculous. He's kind of a wimp.
His look is next level.
His look is next level, man.
He's got like an eraser head flat top, and he wears a denim jacket, and he has like a really thin, light Mexican guy mustache. It's perfect.
He is the most distinctive looking person. He's one of a kind. He looks very distinctive. And then the female lead is very. She gets pretty bloodthirsty. She becomes like Ash's protege, and she's very good at it. Also, you get to see Lucy Lawless is here as a bad guy, and that's pretty cool too. I think I don't know. I don't know if I would recommend it. If you don't like Evil Dead, don't watch this. This is only if you like Evil Dead. This is like Evil Dead, like graduate school, man. This is. It gets pretty ridiculous. It gets out there. So the bad guy in season 2 is pretty cool. You do get to see new kinds of demons. You know what I mean? They usually stick to the the one brand. You know, they don't flesh out too much. They have some pretty cool ones. I like it. I'm on season 2 right now, about halfway through. I think I'm going to finish the full 3 seasons. I don't think they're doing a 4th one. I don't know. Groovy is all I have to say.
Also, for real fans of the Evil Dead series, Jahan and I just both recently picked up the Evil Dead video game on Xbox.
Yeah, we did. It's actually kind of why I started watching Ash vs. Evil Dead again.
Yeah, I thought it might have inspired you to pick it back up.
I picked it back up. I wanted some more of that sweet action. Take it away about the game, though, Gary. You can start us off.
So it's a multiplayer. Well, here's part of the problem. It has a single player campaign, which I think is strange. It should have been a multiplayer campaign. But everyone's buying this game for the multiplayer mode. There are 4 survivors, and there is one person who controls the Deadites. You control one giant demon Deadite, and you have the ability to place spawning rune circles and stuff to spawn your small soldiers and your elite soldiers. The way that you spawn those is by picking up evil dark energy. So what that looks like is a first-person mode of the spirit flying around, just flying around the map really fast. So it actually gives you that Evil Dead, that cheesy camera view of like the Deadite demon souls flying towards the house, and you wonder why is that shot there? It's such a cheesy, silly
it's powering
shot.
Up. Yeah.
Well, yeah, they ended up working it into the game as part of the mechanics of it's the Deadite, circling you, watching you, planting portals, and powering up. It's the big demons getting his stuff ready. So I do like that. And the game, the Evil Dead game, I would say is only for really, really big fans of Evil Dead. The maps are, there's one big map. It kind of has a battle royale type of feel where the survivors start close to each other and you have to kind of run and loot and complete an objective. The objectives, of course, are to find the pages of the map, to summon the Necronomicon, to get the dagger, and then banish the Deadites. So that's the play style for every map. A clever Deadite player can, after 25 minutes of all of your team's hard work, they have enough upgrades to just kill you and beat you. So there's some balance issues with the game. The looting isn't particularly fun to just run around and pick stuff up. I'm kind of over that battle royale mechanic. But every single character in the game is from the lore. They're from the shows. They have their looks and different outfits. A lot of the actors did their own voice lines. Bruce Campbell came back and recorded some original voice lines. So there's a lot to love about this game for an Evil Dead fan. If you are a Left 4 Dead person and you're looking for another cooperative zombie killing game, this is not what you're looking for.
This is not it.
This Evil Dead game plays a lot more like Dead by Daylight,
yes,
than it does like a Left 4 Dead game. I wouldn't recommend it, but I would recommend it for fans of Evil Dead.
Did you ever play the Friday the 13th game?
Yeah, it's like that.
That's what I figured.
It's exactly like that. Yeah, Friday the 13th, Dead by Daylight, those kinds of games where it's players trying to complete some sort of objective to defeat the much more powerful singular evil. Yeah, so this game, starting off, this game has a $40 and a $60 mode. You can just buy it for $40. I probably should have. Honestly, I regret spending extra money. I got some cool skins. That's about it. This game does have, it seems like one map, but that map is pretty well utilized. You start in a different area every time, and so far we've played night, dusk, wind, snow, rain. Like, it's always very different, and like it does seem to have an effect on just how things go. The looting, I'm pretty tired of looting too. The looting in this game specifically, there aren't that many weapon types. So, you're like, okay, I found a revolver, or yay, a revolver. But, that almost makes it better because you don't have to look for that ideal thing. You're probably just going to find what you want in a couple places. I think this game's definitely fun. Definitely good for Evil Dead fans. The campaign, I'll say campaign in quotes, is single player because it's not very long. It's honestly just like 7 missions to unlock some characters. The Deadite gameplay looks really fun, and I don't know. This game's cool. And Bruce Campbell himself did go and do the rounds for the game coming out, advertising wise. I saw him talk about the game, so that was pretty cool. And there are 4 ashes. When you unlock all the characters, there are 4 different ashes. There are 4 roles. There's leader, warrior, hunter, and support. There is a different ash for each one of those. The leader ash is El Jefe from the show. The warrior is obviously the Army of Darkness ash, and then
It's also the only character in the entire game that can equip the chainsaw.
Yes.
So if you find a chainsaw, all you can do is ping it, because only Ash from Army of Darkness can use a chainsaw.
Or from for the show. The El Jefe one can use it too.
Okay.
Because that's the what happens after Army of Darkness. Both of them, only the ones that actually had the chainsaw hand can use the chainsaw hand, which is kind of cool. But there's also 4 other warriors you can pick from. None of them can use the chainsaw. But yeah,
as a person who plays support characters, I'm really excited that I'm not going to get to use a chainsaw. What awesome game design.
Yeah, you do kind of miss out on it. I get what they're doing. This game's a big homage, and it's a good homage. I think it is well done to that respect. It's probably worth about $40. If you could get it cheaper or for free, I'd say give it a go.
It will be cheaper.
It will
it's
be.
$40 now. Wait until Halloween. I bet it goes on a 50% sale and you could pick it up for $20. So if you're an Evil Dead fan, my gut tells me that it'll go on sale around Halloween this year.
Honestly, I would sing this game's praises if they had another map and maybe another couple game modes. This game would kind of slap.
If we could play a 4-player cooperative campaign, I would like this game a little bit more, I think. Just matchmaking over and over and over isn't the most fun. The game definitely has balance issues, and so playing matchmaking games with balance issues is just inherently frustrating.
There is no balance. You get to level up your characters outside of the game, and you get to bring that high-level character into each game regardless of what level everyone else is. So you might be fighting a max-level demon when you just started. And
if somebody quits on your team, or if somebody is bad on your team, you're going to lose. As you know, that's a problem with a lot of matchmaking games like this. But it's a consistent problem because you can't go to a campaign and then play with your friends. You have to matchmake with strangers, or that type of thing. And if you need all 4 people to survive the hordes. If there's somebody who is really bad or somebody who leaves and they don't care, it will make you lose in a game like this. It's too vital.
It's pretty brutal.
In structure, you really need it.
It sounds like the type of game that if they struggle to get a good player base on it, it'd be ripe for Game Pass or something like that, because you're instantly going to get a way bigger player base.
It would be great on
day
Game
one.
Pass. Yeah, it would be great on Game
whatever
Pass.
it's added.
But yeah, that's the Evil Dead game. It's good if you're a fan, and even then, wait for it to go on sale.
Good if you're a fan, he says, and I'll harken back to Young Rock, which I have now, I think, hit the season finale of season 2. There is a fantastic bit with Randy Savage in season 2. One is just a simple throwaway line that made me laugh when I heard it, and I still laugh about it weeks later. Someone walks up to Randy and hands him the script, and he goes, "Mine says macho," and then he laughs about it and flexes, and they're like, "Yeah, very good, Randy," and they walk away. And then in this most recent episode, he does an opening for a Sears, and he's just supposed to cut the ribbon, just do a ribbon cutting at a Sears. He gets up there and just starts improving a whole monologue about how much he loves Sears and how Sears changed his life and how you can get all the best things you need at Sears. And then he goes inside and is trying to help people out and sell stuff at Sears. The manager is like, "You don't work here. You know that, right? You don't need to be here." And he's like, "Hey man, don't worry. It's not a day of work for me, brother. I love Sears." And then shows back up later in the day in a different outfit and is doing it again. And it's just, it makes you wonder how many of these stories about these wrestlers like have some modicum of truth. These bizarre characters. And getting into the later part of season 2 of Young Rock, you're introduced to more and more and more of these bizarre characters. As The Rock gets older in the story, he's starting to talk more and more about the WWF. There's a guy who plays Vince McMahon. He sounds exactly like Vince. He doesn't particularly look like him.
I actually had this on the TV the other day, like the day that the finale was on live, and I caught some of the Vince McMahon stuff. I just happened to have the TV on. So
Sounds like him, doesn't it?
Yeah, it did. It did.
He's got big hair too, but he doesn't look like Vince. And that's
he's not 1,000 years old yet.
Right. It's great to see wrestlers like Bam Bam Bigelow and stuff before they were Bam Bam, but he still has like the flame tattoos on his head, and he's going by some other silly name, doing some South Eastern wrestling. Still, I'll always be preaching Young Rock, and I can't wait for season 3. I'm not even sure if it got approved for a season 3. But this is a funny way for The Rock to air his dirty laundry. He's talked about his grandmother and her FBI case for extortion. He's talked about different parts of his career and his dad kind of being a little sleazy. And I think that The Rock really intends on making a political run at the end of all this, for real. And whenever people start asking questions about or trying to dig up dirt on him, he'll have this to sort of reference as his book of things I've already answered. You know what I mean? So I think there's something interesting about that, too. I've never seen a president make a TV show about his own life and then become president, but I wouldn't be surprised if
You're
James
fired.
Johnson did it.
Imagine having the power to just... Obviously, The Rock has had books before, like he's had biographies and such, but still, the fact that you become like one of the biggest stars in Hollywood and you say, you know what, instead of writing a new book about my life or whatever, I'm just going to make a TV show. Like, it's going to be nice.
Yeah, man, and I bet he's getting paid more for the TV show than he ever would have gotten paid for another book.
Absolutely, he's getting that NBC money.
I think I finally convinced my brother Thomas to watch Young Rock also, and he said he was loving it. Randy Stab was just making him laugh out loud also.
Yep.
I've been watching this. I saw a trailer for Prehistoric, and I was like, well, that seems cool. Everyone likes dinosaurs. It's on Apple Plus. It's David Attenborough.
Apple TV Plus. Thank you very much.
It's on Apple Plus.
TV Plus? Apple TV Plus?
It's on the Apple app for viewing stuff. Anyways, it's Dave Attenborough. It's an old British guy, and he's talking about dinosaurs, and then they used CG to put dinosaurs on your screen as if you were watching a real documentary. This also reminded me of Jahan. Like, I don't know, I don't know who wants to just watch a dinosaur documentary all day, because it's filmed like a real nature documentary. You know what I mean? Like, here's the herds of dinosaur, and here's what they're up to.
It is a real nature documentary.
Yeah, and that's how it's shot, right? It's not shot science-y, it's shot more nature documentary-ish, with lots of CG and
I
lots
see what
of
you're
dinosaurs.
saying. Yeah, that is pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think you would like it. It is a bit dry. It's a bit boring, but you mess with dinosaurs big time.
Dinosaurs, huh? I'm just a child, huh?
Well, here's what I was thinking about earlier. You know when we were giving Drew crap for being such a dad?
Yeah.
I was thinking while he's out watching these dad movies, you and I are at home watching like cartoons, anime, and playing video games.
Watching Quest. The Quest.
Yeah. We are children, and Drew is a dad. That's exactly right. You're a child. Go watch your dinosaur show.
I might just do that.
And so that's a documentary. And then while I was on the documentary train, I flipped over to HBO, and I see a new George Carlin documentary. I'm a fan of George Carlin. Some people aren't a fan of George Carlin. This documentary is for people who are fans of George Carlin. It's just a George Carlin jerk-off piece the whole time about how great he is and how he was always great and he'll always be so good. So, yeah, I mean, if you like George Carlin, that's what you're getting into. There's nothing There's nothing about this that is like a surprising or exposes George Carlin or is exciting. It's mostly just cutting back to people saying how great George Carlin was and how he's ahead of his time and he knows everything and he's so smart. So there's that. Just to tee that up for you. I know some people will go watch it because they like George Carlin, and it's not going to change your mind one way or the other about him.
Awesome.
I'm looking forward to. I saw today that season 5 of Somebody Feed Phil. The first half has popped onto Netflix. That, of course, is a traveling food show with a comedy writer from the '90s. He wrote for Everybody Loves Raymond, and I think he helped produce the show. He's really, really cheesy, really, really Jewish comedian. He calls his parents at the end of every episode to tell them that he loves them and tell them about what he's doing. And he always eats a kosher meal wherever he goes. He always eats a vegetarian meal wherever he goes. And then he has a big family meal with everyone he's met through the episode in this different country, in this different city. And they all come together and eat a large family meal together. So I really like Somebody Feed Phil. I think there's something really community-driven, really family, really homey feel at the end of it. There's a lot of love and acceptance, and of course, eating meals with people that you've met and that you're just newly friends with. There's something real engaging about that to me. But I'm a foodie and I like people, so that speaks to both of those. It just popped up, so I'll be watching season 5 of Somebody Feed Phil. That's everything for me this week, guys. I don't have anything else exciting to talk about.
I think Phil grosses me out when I watch him eat. That's my problem with that.
Why do you watch him eat so closely?
This is what the show's about.
But you don't have to look into the bowels of his mouth because he has a sandwich.
Yes, I do.
I don't want to eat meals with you as much as I used to.
True. Did you watch anything?
The only other thing I watched, just adding, this is kind of ironic, adding to the dad movie list, is I'd seen this movie before, but I watched it again. It's called Rush. Have either of you seen this? It stars Chris Hemsworth and Daniel Bruhl.
Does it star Geddy Lee and Neil Peart?
It's not. It's not about the band.
Oh, okay.
It's about Formula One race car drivers.
I have pictures of the band up, and I'm leaving them up.
Did they do Tom Sawyer in this one?
Nope. So, no, this is a movie that came out in 2013. This is prime, Chris Hemsworth right after doing The Avengers did this race Formula One biopic movie directed by Ron Howard. It is Daniel Bruhl's in it and plays Niki Lauda. And why am I going to forget his name? Who Chris Hemsworth plays another good-looking Formula One racer. They have a really well-known rivalry. Anyways, I'd seen this movie before, threw it on again recently, wanted to watch it, and it's okay. It's pretty good. I thought this was really good back in the day when I saw it, but having now seen Ford vs. Ferrari, which I brought up when I was talking about Top Gun, that movie's way better. And James Hunt, that's who Chris Hemsworth plays in this, James Hunt. Anyway, it's just if you want a Formula One biopic sports movie, it's fine. It's okay. You can watch it. That's it. It's nothing new. It's just something I happen to watch. But I do have something else that I
used to really like Formula One when I was younger. The place where my dad worked, he worked at this place called Cattle Guard. Which a lot of locals know it. A lot of people I know's families have eaten there and knew my dad from there that I meet later in life, which is really weird. Supposedly Kyle's family went there and knew my dad, which was a really weird connection later. But anyways, they would have the owner of that place sponsored some racers, and so they would have Formula One day where they would bring the race car. You get I got to sit in the Formula One car. I remember they had special cattle guard shirts with the checkered flag color and stuff like that. It was a whole thing, and they did it every year. It was pretty cool. I just thought that was a cool tidbit. I used to think it was pretty dope.
That is cool. I've never sat in a Formula One car. I think you'd have to grease me up to get me in and out, though.
I was real young. Yeah, I fit in it easy.
Gary, are you sitting in a bed of crickets?
Do you? Jahan knows
I know.
about these crickets.
Every time you talk, your mic is picking up
Oh
crickets.
my God, Drew! These crickets. Now you listen to me about these crickets, okay? This cricket came in the house last week. Annie got him. She put him in a bottle and she took him way out to the field. And I will tell you that like hours later, this jerk off jumped all the way back to our house and buried himself right in our little bed here. And every night when I start streaming, this pecker of a cricket starts chirping up as soon as he sees me in here, and then whenever we go to bed, he walks around the house, his little tootsies, and he goes and stands over by my window and screams at us there too while we try to sleep. This cricket is an entire hole.
It's great for comedic effect because, like, earlier your mic would occasionally catch it and Jahan was talking. So it was like Jahan was talking and there's just crickets in the background. Just to add to our piling on Jahan today.
When you guys were shitting on me? Yeah.
Well, you are the king of butts from Fart Nation.
Wow.
I do have a very important announcement to make. That I finally I finally finished Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. I played this on Xbox. I got all 1,000 achievement points for this game. I logged somewhere in the ballpark of 100 hours while playing it, trying to get everything. There's like over 1,000 Kyber bricks that you collect in the game. There's over almost 400 characters. There's over 100 ships. I got all of it. Every single one. I did it.
I was playing Deep Rock Galactic like I always do, and I was thinking to myself, why doesn't Drew love this game? Because you have to check every little corner and get every little mushroom and piece of nitra and gold and everything out of the room. And I was like, boy, it would be nice to have Drew running around in here searching every corner so I could just kill bugs.
Yeah, I like collecting stuff. What can I say?
You need a collector on the team, man. Again, that reminds me of your building the Lego thing. The patience you have. You may be the most patient person that I'm friends with.
Quite patient. I like that compliment. I'll take it.
It's not a compliment.
That's it for me for what I've been watching and or playing.
Yeah, so I've been playing a lot of games lately, actually. I was at home sick, blah, blah, blah. But, I played Loop Hero more. I got further in Loop Hero. Loop Hero is dope. I unlocked the Rogue class. That game, now that I've given it a fair shake, has been dope. It's awesome. I suggest checking it out. Loop Hero is a great roguelike. I also play We Are Billions, still great. They Are Billions. I also played Elden Ring, still great. But some of the new stuff I've been playing, which is more important. So I tried one of the Game Pass games, Hard Space Shipbreaker. It just came out on Game Pass. That game's pretty meh. The premise is you buy spaceships, and they appear in your little space dock, and you go, and you piece them apart for salvage. And you just go and you slice a ship up with lasers and you deposit the parts and then you sort the parts where they go. It eventually gets more complicated and there was furniture inside the next one and I had to save the furniture for money. I don't know. It was kind of boring, and if you get motion sick, you will get motion sick. It's pretty rough. The other thing that was Hard Space. The other thing that I started playing that's kind of new, BioShock, the entire BioShock trilogy remastered, is free on the Epic Game Store as of the time of this filming. Might still be at the time of the airing. But yeah, I've been playing BioShock. It, I think, holds up pretty well. I'm having a good time going around hacking robots. You hack the turret and then you lead the bad guys into it. You can do the combo attacks with electrocuting people that are standing in water and burning oil and that kind of stuff. It's still fun. The story is still pretty cool. There's still some scare moments, but honestly, in the first one at least, man, they look bad. They look real bad. So I killed somebody, and like instead of dying in any sort of realistic way, I like killed her, and she just went stiff as a board and toppled over like she was a mannequin. And I was like, oh, that's bad. But the Big Daddy fights are still pretty brutal. I think that they're better in BioShock 2 just because of, technological issues. But I do plan on replaying these because I never actually beat Infinity. I beat the other two, beat the crap out of the other two. But there is... I haven't beaten the third one, and I need to. I need to give that a fair shake.
I was looking at Loop Hero before when you were talking about that. It looks like it was announced that they're going to make a Nintendo Switch version. Or they're going to port it over.
It would easily port, yeah.
So there's nothing for an Xbox, PlayStation yet. Nothing announced, but Loop Hero will be coming to Switch.
No, that's good. Yeah, it's a very good... It's kind of got like that auto battler mixed with like a roguelike, and it's pretty dope. Other games that I think are going to be pretty cool, they just dropped Floppy Nights on the...
I've installed Floppy Nights, but I haven't played it yet, but it's ready to go.
Free on Game Pass. It is looks like a roguelike deck builder, which Gary loves so very much. Gary's obsessed. And I'm glad, because, like, I remember when you found out that those were a thing, and you were like, what? And then
I literally made you sit in a party with me while I was playing Slay the Spire for the first time.
Yeah.
And I was asking you questions on how this game is played.
Yeah, I was literally explaining how it worked. And man, you were wary, but man, you love it so much now. And so yeah, Floppy Nights looks like it might be a good one for you. So many more keep coming out every day. If you have never played a roguelike deck builder before, I know that sounds like a lot of made up stuff that I just said to you. Try them. They are so fun. Slay the Spire is incredible.
Maybe we should break it down. So what a rogue-like game is it's a game that changes every single time you play it, and you're going to lose a bunch.
Yeah, you die, but you still progress is the... So, like, you'll get through, like, the first boss in a dungeon, and then you'll die in the second floor. You'll have to start all the way back at the first floor, but you unlocked, like, 2 new guns that you can find throughout the dungeon, or in this case, like, some new cards, some new artifacts. Yeah.
Next time you play, you have a better chance of drawing new cool cards and combinations, or getting your new weapons that you've now unlocked. So they'll make you progress further, faster, stronger every time you lose. So losing is built into these games. So first of all, you just know you're kind of going to be in like a brain off recycle mode, which I like about rogue games is sort of once you get the how it works, you're doing it. And now you just keep doing it until you win and you keep getting stronger and stronger.
Yeah.
And then deck builder, right? We're going to break it down. Of course, you're building a deck. So you've got different cards every single time.
You usually start off with about 2 full hands worth of cards. So if you have 5 cards in a hand starting, you'll usually start off with 10 cards in your deck. And you'll draw that first hand, you play all the cards, you discard them, you draw your new hand, and when you're done with that, you pick all the cards back up. And in deck builders, the idea is that this deck gets bigger as you play. In Slay the Spire, for instance, it happens like in between combat usually, but it can also happen during combat when you do card creation spells and stuff like that. But yeah, it really gets into...
You said that your deck gets bigger as you play?
Yeah, your deck gets bigger as you play.
Deck gets bigger as you play.
Yeah.
Okay, your deck.
Yeah, just keep playing as you play with it.
Just keep playing with your deck, and it'll get bigger.
That's right.
The more you play, yeah, definitely.
Which is actually funny because when I play, I can actually remove cards from my deck. So sometimes my deck doesn't get any bigger
your
at
deck
all. Sometimes
can get smaller.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh wow, I don't want that. I don't want my deck to get smaller.
If you play with your deck too much, you can go blind.
Because as of right now, my deck's already pretty small. I don't need it to get any smaller. I want my deck to get bigger.
Well, here's the thing: is every time you play with your deck, you can expect a different outcome.
I like that.
So sometimes your deck gets smaller, sometimes your deck gets bigger. It just depends on what you want to do with your deck.
Unfortunately, a lot of these games are single player, so you can never play with your friend's deck.
Yeah, that's true. You are stuck playing with your own deck.
That's a shame.
You're stuck playing with your
own
own
deck.
deck.
Share with each other.
That's why I had to have Jahan get into a party and teach me how to play with my deck.
Yeah, that's true. I talked him off. as it were. But yeah, so that's deck builders in a nutshell. Gross. But the two that you should probably check out that are great suggestions, Slay the Spire, award-winning deck builder, kind of started the whole roguelike deck builder genre, or at least brought it into the mainstream, and then Monster Train.
My
also
favorite.
also an award-winning game. They're both award-winning games. Like, this isn't us being weird. They have huge fan bases and they are awesome. You should check them out. Bring that in your repertoire. But I mean, I guess so. Fresh out the podcast. Look at that. We taught you guys about a whole new genre of games and a lot of other stuff. So that was fun. You guys have anything else to say?
No, I just think it's cool that, first-person games, everyone knows what that is. Third-person games, everyone knows what it is. And now, roguelike deck builder, our fans might know what that is now. That might be a part of their vocabulary, and that's kind of a cool feeling.
Yeah, that is kind of cool. I like teaching people new stuff.
And then roguelike, right? It's not just that we taught them roguelike deck builders. Roguelike is its own genre of game.
Yeah.
So we might have taught you something about gaming today.
Loop Hero, also a roguelike.
That's right. That's how this all started.
There are so many of them now. It's very
it's more like Poop Hero, though. You know what I mean?
I got you. But yeah, so this has been Fresh Out the Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Johanan at RockFact on Twitter.
I'm Casualty CDG. Watch Jahan and I play tabletop games every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday from 8 p.m. until 11 p.m. And I'm not asking, I'm telling you to watch Jahan and I play tabletop games. Twitch.tv/Johananon or on our YouTube, Fresh Out the Box TTRPG. And if you aren't there, I'll know because I'm a moderator in the channel and I can see the viewers of who's in there. And if you're not in there, then we're not friends anymore.
Damn.
Yeah. That goes for it's everybody too. It's for you guys too.
And I am Drew Munhausen. You can find me at Drew Munhausen on Twitter. And thank you so much for listening to episode 48 of Fresh Out the Podcast.
Stay fresh out there.